Good evening, everybody. And Dr. Prashant, can we get it started?
Yes, I think we can. I think we have almost everybody. The ones who are, I think, will join.
Yeah, a few of our attendees have said that they are not available, so we'll be sending them the recorded version and asking them to follow. And
Sure.
yeah, good evening, everybody, and thank you all for joining this. Uh, 1 minute. So thank you all for joining this 1 year practice development program by Ophthall, which is one of the newest initiatives which we have started. And first of all, I'd like you to thank all of you for the commitment, because it's not easy to commit for a continuous learning of 1 year. And this commitment not many people could do. And thank you all for the commitment first, and second thing is thank you all for the trust in Ophthall that you will be able to learn about this practice management and better your practice over this 1 year. So why did this program come in force? Let me give you a little bit of an introduction, because see, as you know, we have been conducting these practice development conferences along it's almost uh, can all of you mute yourself because I can hear some disturbance. Yeah. So Ophthall started with the conference in almost 6, 7 years back when we understood there is a huge requirement for understanding the business concepts of practicing medicine. Because as doctors, we are all very good in clinical skills, but what are all the skills which are needed to have a good practice? We are not very sure. Can you request all of you to mute I think disturbance. 1 minute. Yeah. So, practicing medicine is not only having a good clinical skill, but also a lot of small, and larger business skills also needed to practice medicine in a good way. And with the advent of more and more corporates coming in India, most of the hospitals which are run by individual eye doctors are managed also by the doctors, meaning there is no managerial cadre who is managing the practice. And we thought it is important for the ophthalmologist who also doubles up as the practice manager to understand the basics of the business skills which are required to run a very successful practice. And successful meaning, I'm not telling only about the financial success, but also in terms of good processes in the organization, good customer service, good quality, good reviews from the patients, and growth in terms of growth. Because whenever you start a clinic, you're also going to you're starting a business, though it is kind of a self-employed profession, but still you are going to run a business with say 8, 10, 15, 20 staffs. And when you're running this business, it is also important to know whether we are running it properly, whether we are running it in the way a corporate is running the hospital, and whether there are systems and processes which are being implemented in that practice. So that is the whole idea of this practice development program which we thought. But in a conference, you people or doctors come and attend, they listen to the sessions, but how much of it is going to get implemented is always a question mark, because you're excited about learning all the new things in a conference, but how much is actually getting translated or how much is actually getting executed is always a question mark. So we thought that it is not only important to have a conference, but also have a kind of hand-holding kind of a program for 1 year, where you can also understand and implement whatever you learned. So the whole idea of this 1 year program is also the implementation. It is not only learning new things, new skills, new processes, but also implementing them into the practice. So that is what was the whole idea. And let's say when somebody is committed, when somebody is going to think for 1 year, I think now we have almost 20 plus participants, 20 plus hospitals which have signed up for this program. And this is the first time in any medical specialty somebody has been trying to do something like this. So, and when somebody is committed for a period of 1 year, somebody keeps thinking that, okay, what are all the things I have to do to improve my practice? I'm sure automatically the practice is going to grow. So we have a mixed group of audience, like some doctors who have just started their practice, some of them who are initial in their initial 3 4 years, but maybe they are not into good revenues. Some of them are already established. So we have like a mixture of all the three kind of groups in this. And how we are going to do, so this is not only going to be webinars, this is not only going to be online sessions. Online sessions are a part of it so that we keep meeting it, but it is more of an exercise which we are all going to do together. And for us to succeed in this exercise, it has to be mutual. So basically you also have to commit and you also have to involve. And it is just like writing an exam. Only if you also prepare, though we can teach you the things, but basically you also have to do the homework and groundwork to get the results properly. So basically it's going to be 12 months. I've already posted the 12 sessions which we are planning for the 12 months. So basically every month one focus area. So January we thought, let us, because every business is a people's business. So basically in India, even if you sell dosas or even if you sell idlis, so there are so many customers for buying the idli and dosa, but do we have the people to deliver those things? So there are two things. One is processes, second one is people. So every business is a people management business. Unless you are not doing something very unique, like you are an artist or you are doing something on your own which is very exclusive, then you don't need people. But otherwise we are all dependent on at least another 4 5 10 20 100 staffs who are going to deliver that care which we are needing. And the vision which the owner of the organization has, is it going to be there for the staff also in the hospital, right from the person who is inviting the people waiting outside your hospital. So every business is a people management business. If you manage people properly, I think you can do the business properly. So I hospital also is no different, and we thought it is very important to start off with this important topic of people management. So Prashant Chauhan, I think, needs no introduction. He is a doctor like us, and he has worked in a lot of corporate hospitals, the chain hospitals, and he also runs his own consultancy called Purple Squirrel Strategist. So he will be coordinating, and he will be also helping me in this whole journey of 1 year. So I thought it's important to have somebody with that managerial expertise along with us. And every month we are going to focus on one core area. Like this month, it's people management. So I would send the list, which we have identified as the 12 essential things which you need to run a very successful practice. And so we will be thinking about all the things about people management in the month of January. So there will be like these kind of sessions. We have one session today and another session on January 19th. And Prashant will also be handing over practical tools which you will be deploying in your hospital. And there is also going to be somebody who will also, you have to depute, either it's you or your staff, who has to kind of see to that those things are getting implemented. So it's basically teaching you and then giving you the tools which are needed and then seeing to that it's getting implemented. So even if you are able to improve 5 6 or 10 processes in managing your people during this end of the month, I think we have successfully achieved our goal for the month of January. So apart from that, if you want to have some, so can you all mute, because sometimes it gets disturbing. And so apart from that, so there is going to be online sessions, very descriptive, where we will also hand over the tricks and tools and tips and everything which is needed to, which are followed by the corporates, which are followed by good hospitals, followed by very successful eye care organizations to you, and then see to that those things are implemented. Apart from that, if you would need to have any kind of an individual one-on-one discussion about that particular topic, you are welcome to approach me or Prashant Chauhan, and then he will also guide you on individual focus. So there is going to be kind of a individual monitoring also within our time constraint. But please let us know. We'll be always happy to help you on that particular. So we will be discussing only this topic on January. So everything about people management. So there is going to be these sessions. Then the tools handed over to you, and then somebody monitoring whether the tool is getting executed. And then if you have particular doubts about this people management topic, you are always welcome to discuss with us about this program. And so to be frank, whatever we are doing is an experiment. So it is an experiment. It's nobody has tried something like this before. But I'm sure with this cooperation between collaboration between all of us with the inputs, you always are welcome to give us inputs, guidance, and if you need something to be changed, we are always happy to do that. And so in the end of the 1 year, what we anticipate is that a small clinic also gets into the level of a corporate hospital. So though they may not have the size, but at least they may have the processes, they may have the systems, which will help them to navigate the journey towards getting into a big corporate organization. So each of these clinics today definitely has a potential to become one of the large organizations of that particular area and even all over India. So every hospital which is now very big or in pan India, are all hospitals just started very small. But mostly the doctors who were running it or the managers who were there were also intelligent. They were also implementing all the processes. So why did Arvind Eye Hospital become such a large organization? Now, why did LVP become such a large organization? Because they had people who had those processes which got implemented with them. So we want you to have a different mindset. We want you to think differently. And the people who are in these 25 people who have signed up for this program should be very successful. I think it's very important for us, like, because we are the first set of people who are going to help this program scale up. Maybe next year we might have 50 people. We didn't want to have a large number also because we cannot take more than 50 or 60 people, 60 hospitals at one point of time. But even if we can help 50, 60, 100 hospitals in a year, I think that is itself is a huge opportunity, a huge achievement for all of us. Because as Ophthal's goal is to help 1,000 practices to achieve success. If we can help 1,000 practices become a corporate kind of a practice, if 1,000 practices can demand a huge valuation, if 1,000 practices can leave behind a legacy, I think that is what is the goal of what we are trying to do. So we are all together in this. We are all trying to shape this. We are all So we are all trying to improve ourselves, and thank you all once again for investing in this. Thank you all once again for trusting Ophthall, and thank you to Prashant Chauhan and all the experts. So we'll be having a lot of experts, people who have spent their life on that particular topic. For example, we have somebody for finance, Kapil Kukreja, who has spent almost all his life on finance management. So different kinds of experts who also have experience in running the eye hospitals will be giving out the trade secrets basically, and request you all to attend the live sessions and all to be actively involved in the workups and everything. That is when the whole program becomes effective. If you do not show interest, then I think this whole program might not become effective. So we are always open to change, but I request your dedication and support to take this journey of 1 year. And on February 16th, there is a program with AAOS. All India Ophthalmic Society is organizing a program which is where I am the program director of that AAOS plus practice development program. So maybe if we all can come to that program, we can even try to have a physical meeting of our session, and due towards the end of the year we might also try to meet once again. In between, let us go into this journey. Let us take this journey together, and let us have our goals. So if all of us can have our practices grow from this level to by the end of this 2025 to the next level, I think that is the most important aim we are all having. And I would request Prashant Chauhan to take over and continue the session today. And if I will also be interacting in between, and so we can now hand it over to Prashant, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Senthil. Thank you. And I think we have to all applaud. This is Dr. Senthil's brainchild, especially catering to the smaller and the young practices where they sometimes don't find the requisite, shall I say, expertise to kind of, improve their practices. So just give me a second. Is it visible to everybody?
Yeah, it's visible. Maybe you can make it full screen. Is it full screen?
Yes, sir, full screen, visible.
Okay.
Okay. So you all have gone through the 12 months that we are going to be covering various modules and topics. So I just want to run through that. The first month is people management, will be followed by patient experience management, hospital finance, digital transformation, counseling, which is a very important element in eye care. Then helping in ramping up opticals and pharmacy in the month of June and July. Hospital marketing, a very key element. Quality management, digital marketing tips, and hospital analytics. How do you see your business in terms of numbers and performance? And the month 12 will be where we'll be doing the wrap up revision, and hoping that in that 11 months that has followed, we have been able to kind of grasp the things. And if there are any areas of concern which we need any clarity on, we will cover that in the month of December. That will be the last month of the program. So there'll be two sessions every month on Sundays. This one is today, and then the next one, as Dr. Senthil mentioned, is on the 19th. Then we'll be starting at 4 p.m. We will have a key accounts manager from our side who will be coordinating the implementation. I think the most important thing is how you adopt and adapt the practices that we will share with you in your practice. So there'll be a dashboard which will be sharing where we will see the progress as to which practice has adopted what percentage of the initiatives that have been shared here. You can ask your queries in the group, and we will be able to answer them. We can even have some small group interactions on Zoom to brainstorm any topics which you need one-to-one interventions on. We will have the Q&A session at the end of every session. You can note your questions down, and towards the end, please feel free. Let it be an interactive session. Feel free to ask all your questions and queries that you may have. You may have to assign somebody in your practice to kind of interact with our key accounts manager to track the progress. And we will be throughout the years sharing a lot of guidance material on the group, which can be utilized, which will be these tools for you to kind of utilize in the respective module that we'll be covering. So first month, as we say, is on people management. All of you know Richard Branson, the founder of the Virgin brand, and his mantra is always that if you have happy employees, you will have delighted customers. So if you want your patients to kind of leave your center satisfied or beyond satisfied, delighted, you need to have the right people taking care. And if the right people are dissatisfied or disgruntled, they will not give their best. So you need to keep your team motivated, keep your team happy. And I think this module is all about how to get the right people, how do you retain the people, and how do you keep them motivated. So over the next 31 days, we'll be kind of covering these things. What we will be doing is we will be covering through various modules. So we will be covering a few modules in today's session, and the remaining modules we'll be covering in the second session. We'll be starting with people management, recruitment, hiring practices, training, performance management. How do you develop your workplace culture? Conflict resolution, which is an important aspect of people management. How do you retain your staff? In terms of today, the competition, there are so many people offering jobs left, right, and center. How do you retain the good talent that you have? And today, technology is playing a very important role. So how do you integrate technology even in people management? We'll be giving some tips there. So what is people management? So I wrote an article sometime back on LinkedIn. I'll be sharing that with all of you. It's like people plus process is equal to profit. So, and I always have interacted with a lot of people, the business gurus and all, and I've asked them this one question, that if you have to pick between people and process, what do you think is more important towards success in business? And 100% of those business gurus always chose people. They said people outranks process, technology, and everything else in every business. People will make or break your business, and we will, want to understand what is the key components and how is hierarchy important. And I've worked in corporate hospitals. I've also been now handling standalone hospitals in my consulting practice. And I've seen that this is a very fuzzy area. The hierarchy sometimes is not very clear. People don't know whom to go to when they want to talk about something, or where's the escalation beyond that. How do we develop that? And how to kind of classically have an organogram. Now, people tell me that why do I need an organogram? I'm not an APH accredited. I'm not a corporate hospital. Even you may be a small practice of 8, 9 people, you still need to have an organogram where your team knows that who reports to whom, and if something goes wrong, whom do they go to? So, and whom do they escalate beyond their supervisor if they have to? So, irrespective of whether you are an ABH accredited, irrespective of whether you are a standalone hospital or a corporate hospital, you need to have an organogram. So, think of yourself as a sports coach. You've seen a lot of these movies. You remember Chak De, where, Shah Rukh Khan was coaching the Indian women's hockey team. You are like that sports coach. You know about the strengths and weaknesses. You motivate them. You tell them what to do. You tell them how to pick up from, when defeat and losses, or poor patient, testimonials or negative reviews, or maybe somebody has not gotten a good increment, or maybe somebody's having trouble at the family, and how do they balance the work life and personal life. And end of the day, you are the go-to person. So when you are a coach, when you are a mentor, when you are a guide, when you are their leader, you need to ensure that everybody knows what to do. Everybody is knowledgeable. Everybody is having an SOP or a roadmap how to deliver the patient care, and you are having mechanisms to ensure if there's any deviation, you can take corrective measures. And for any hospital, you have to understand the levels of intellectual people is very different. You can have a janitor or a housekeeping guy, you can have a security guard, and you can have a super specialist, vitreoretinal cornea, phaco-refractive surgeon. Having all of them gel together and work towards one mission, and that is delivering excellent patient outcomes and wonderful patient experiences to each and every patient, is something which you have to deliver. And that is how you have to handle all kinds of people, and every person is different from each other. How do you work on that so that you are able to customize your interactions and your behaviors and your guidance depending on the skill sets and the intelligence levels of people, is what will either make you succeed in the business or maybe not succeed in the business. And that is something which we have to learn. And I keep telling all the the practice founders, the promoters, the medical directors, that end of the day the buck stops at you. You may have a manager, but still the manager is reporting to you. And one more thing in people management is that people say that we don't need center managers. We are a small practice, we do just 10 lakhs a month. Why do I need a center manager, or why do I need a center coordinator? And I have one thing for everybody, irrespective of the size of the practice, you need to have that sutradhar, or you need to have that single point of contact who manages everything in the center, and it can't be you. You are so busy in clinical work that it will be a shame that you have to take out time and literally being firefighting. And I've seen a lot of doctors do that. And what happens is their focus from clinical work gets deviated, because half the time they're doing firefighting, managing workplace conflicts, or patient disruptions, or patients getting agitated. You should have a person. And it's not that the center manager are expensive, people, that everybody who you think of a center manager, you can pick somebody with 1 or 2 years of experience in operations, and they will come at salaries as low as 25,000-30,000 rupees also. But groom them, handhold them, give them the authority, and they will be a wonderful addition to your team and will ensure that things are streamlined, and your headache is taken away, and you are not involved in firefighting, which otherwise you normally would be wasting your time in. And when we say people management and human resource management, HR as we call it, is it the same? It is may sound similar, but it is not the same. When you are talking about people management, you're looking at being more empathetic, being more proactive, and wanting to manage team members. HR is very didactic. It's very, shall I say, cold and systematic, but it is not having that warmth of, okay, these are my people. It's like, we always say that you have a personal family and you have a professional family. So it's how do you take care of the professional family is what the job of the leader is. And that is what you need. Treat them like a family member so that you will work on their weaknesses, handhold them, lead from the front, lead by example, not just giving examples. And that is what will make them stick with you in tough times. There have been, we've seen the COVID pandemic, how difficult it was. But the organizations which were empathetic had the people stick with them in spite of salary reductions versus the organizations which were not empathetic, even though they did not deduct salaries, they lost their people. So you need to look at their well-being. You have to focus on their productivity. You have to ensure that your staff is engaged. They are motivated enough. It's like Monday morning, do you want to come to your workplace is the test of whether you're happy or not. So if Monday morning you're, raring to go to the workplace means there's something good happening at the workplace. And that's the kind of environment you need to create for your people so that they will also contribute towards your growth. End of the day, they need to have that ownership. All the ownership doesn't lie with you. That ownership should also lie with the staff, the people that are working with you, so that they treat it as their own place and they will then give their 110% always to ensure that the practice grows and it is not just your responsibility. So people management encompasses 360 degrees of the life cycle of an employee. How does it start? It starts at the time of recruitment. How do you choose the right people? How do you interview them? How do you recruit them? How do you compensate them? Then how do you keep them engaged? How do you train them? How do you do their appraisals? I have seen, and I'll give you examples. I have known hospitals where they give 500 rupee appraisal to each and every staff in the year, irrespective of their performance, irrespective of their salary. And next year they say we'll give 700 rupees because we were happy. No, you need to have a professional way of doing appraisals. We will be talking about that also. We were talking about training and development. I think one of the biggest bugbears in any hospital is that there are not enough training and development. Even if you're NABH accredited, those training forms are just filled for the sake of the audits. We all know we are filling up those forms just to complete the assessment and not get an NC, but we are not doing regular trainings as per a calendar. You need to look at their safety and well-being, their benefits, their leave, compensation. What are the perks that they're getting? Is there an incentive if the hospital is doing well? So if you do all of these things, one important thing which you will find will be different from other hospitals is attrition. The biggest pain point in any hospital is staff leaving you. And sometimes they leave without a notice. In the peak of season, they'll take their salary and leave you. I have seen where nurses, the attrition is as high as 40 to 50% also. While there are organizations where attrition is very low. Why is the attrition very low? Because people management is good there. Their people are taken care of. Their welfare is taken care of. Their benefits are taken care of. They are trained. They are given growth opportunities. There is no bias. There is a hierarchy. They feel ownership. They are incentivized. So what you have to do is, if you do all of that, there's one measurement that you can see. What was your attrition? That is the number of people who left in a year divided by the total staff strength into 100 as a percentage. What was it, say, in the year 2024? And let's work on people management to ensure that your attrition going forward in 2025 and beyond comes down. So that's the best way of measuring whether people are happier now compared to what they were in the past. So you need to have your staff have passion, commitment to the work. They need to be comfortable. You can't have staff. I'll give you a small thing. One of the organizations staff said we don't have lockers. We come from far off places. We change to our uniforms. I don't know where to keep my belongings. What it takes is just a multi-set locker to be kept in in one of the staff rooms, and the staff is so much happier. Is they learning? Are they learning new things? Are they being trained on what empathy is, what effective communication is, what body language is? How do you do a service recovery when a patient gets angry? Is quality management just that NABH seal, or is it beyond that? Is there a culture of continuous quality improvement in the hospital? Are you rewarding or employee of the month? Are you doing the employee of the quarter or employee of the month? Are you rewarding your best employees? Are there appreciations and recognitions for the team? If you do all of this, you will have that perfect employee. And that perfect employee is where, when I look at my company's name, Purple Squirrel Strategy, there's a story behind it. The Purple Squirrel is the perfect employee. You need all your employees to be purple squirrels. You need to have those perfect people who tick all the boxes, who are knowledgeable, who are empathetic, who have ownership, who have loyalty, who have commitment, who go out of the way. But it is your job as promoters to give them that environment, to give them that well-being, that learning, the comfort, and that accolades, and the quality for them to deliver the things that you want them to do. It's a two-way street, it's a give and take. If you're able to give them these things, I'm sure they will give back much more than what you expected.
Can I interrupt and add one or two points?
Yes, please.
I think there are two, three things. One is like the biggest complaint most of the hospitals or doctors have is, oh, what if I do everything for my employee and he leaves, he goes to another hospital. The trust is not there. The doctor is not trusting the employee. The employee is not trusting the doctor. So I basically, why will somebody leave if they are getting a good salary, good recognition? I think most of the time we always think that salary is the most important thing. A second thing is basically the trust component. I think one of the most important thing which I think the organizations have to develop is trust your employees. The employee has to trust the owner of the organization. The organization has to trust that employee. So even let them go. You train a lot of good people. Even if they go, it is fine. I think we should have that broad mindset also. Only if we overcome that fear, because majority of the time we are not doing many things for the employees because of the fear. So basically, oh, this employee will leave me. They will leave. So ultimately, most times it's not possible to make everybody stick to you. So whether that number of people who are leaving you is going to be 10% or 80% is in your hands. If you do manage them, if you give them proper recognition, proper incentives, and proper in terms of salary, I think the number of people who leave will be lesser. Even large organizations like Infosys and everybody has attrition. There is no organization which can say we have zero attrition. Another thing is lot of small things which we observe in other organizations, we fail to implement in our organization. Let's say, as you said, this employee of the month, you go to airport, they have the CASF employee of the month. So any kind of Pizza Hut or Domino's Pizza, they have that employee of the month thing. So why can't we do that for our employees? Because a lot of things we can observe and also implement. There is no need to kind of have a big and knowledge or anything. So funny thing is execution. So how do you execute it? So that is where like, okay, this is the process for employee of the month. So this is what you give for him. And we should make sure that, okay, that happens we start a lot of things, but we don't implement it. So a lot of things are started, but end of the day, it doesn't get implemented. For example, I'll tell you, I have one of my relatives who has this factory which is making that instant doop. It is in Dindakal. So he is not an educated person, but he started a small manufacturing unit for instant doop. And then he grew that company into a 800-person organization. There are 800 employees working in a factory which is making a product as simple as instant doop. The Sambrani, we call it a Sambrani in Tamil. So he has implemented so many of these employee programs, which are phenomenal. I think he learned a lot from whenever he travels abroad. He sees a lot of things he implements. I'll give you one example. So there are various areas of his factory where people have to go inside the factory, leaving the chappal slippers outside. So they should not wear the sandals inside. So the number is marked like employee number 23 has to place that footwear on the 23 counter. So there is a number. And there was a CCTV camera which is monitoring that footwear stand. So I was very much curious about why is the CCTV camera monitoring that footwear stand? Because footwear, I thought maybe he doesn't want somebody to steal that thing. So I asked him like, sir, why are you having this camera? He says, no, no, sir. In our office, we have three counselors, psychologists who are working in his office. So if an employee doesn't keep that footwear properly, like everybody keeps it in order, or if somebody keeps leaves the footwear down, but he comes to work, but 22 is empty, but his footwear is lying down, it means he psychologically there is a problem. So he calls up that particular employee. The counselor will call that employee, ask him like, what is the problem? Why you are not put the footwear in the correct position? Then that employee will say, oh, there was a fight in my family, there was some financial problems, so many things. And then that particular employee is then given a counseling, and either she is put in a less critical area of the factory, or she is said, okay, you go take leave today and you go home. So those kind of simple things which are all important in managing that employee. That is how that organization grew into a 800 employee organization. So how, even we might have, so some of our attendees might think, oh, I have only 5 staff. So is all these things really applicable to me? This 800-person organization also started as a very small organization with 4 people, 5 people in a house. They started that factory. So a lot of things in employee management, I think also you can observe. You can observe a lot of things, and we observe them, but we don't implement them in our own organization. So once we
True.
start implementing them, so what should we do at the end of this month? So have we implemented 5 or 6 or 10 of these concepts which Prashant Chauhan says, and we start giving that, and if you put that, okay, this is I've started employee of the month, and I've given this is the photo of that employee receiving an incentive or an award, all those things. So one more organization where I observed is this owner as a startup founder. He has a very good idea. So basically, he used to have in his office there is one box called as magic box. So there is a box which is kept in magic box or dream box. It's called dream box. So what I asked him, what is this dream box? He said like, see, there are 100 employees in my organization. All of their names are inside that box. So every month, two of them will pick up that thing. So the two people get picked up from that magic box. And these employees have some kind of a dream. For example, somebody might want to go to Tirupati, or somebody might want to have a vacation, or somebody might want to donate something for charity. Somebody might want to buy some thing for children up to a certain extent, say 30,000 rupees value. So whichever employee gets that, his dream get fulfilled for that month. So the employees are so happy, they look forward to that particular day when that thing is done. And all those things are all, I think, most successful people. I'm very happy that Prashant sir has chosen this people management as the first topic, because the most successful people are people who have taken care of their employees well. So
True.
the hospital, basically what happens is, many times as a doctor we think I am the most important person. So these employees are immaterial to me. So basically I do the surgery, every patient comes for me, and everybody is asking for me. If this employee doesn't, it really doesn't matter. If this employee goes, I can get another employee. And many times we don't even treat them properly. Many times we treat them as inhumanely as possible. So I think, sorry to say, because I've seen a lot of hospitals where how the employees get. I think those days have gone now. I think each employee deserves that respect as an individual human being, and each employee also, you have to think that, okay, they have a family behind them. They need to be paid well. They need to be compensated. Let's say if an employee is not happy for meeting his day-to-day expenses, let's say he's struggling at home for his day-to-day, paying his home rents, paying his children's fees, how is he going to come and do a good service in your hospital? So
Mm.
only if you help him to at least live a decent life, basically. So let's say in your city, 20,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees is what is needed for an employee to live a decent state of living. And just because you are getting people for 12,000, 15,000, you employ them for 12,000, that employee is not going to be happy end of the day. Because anyway, money is also required. So if that employee also understands that you are really going to be taking care of him, you are somebody who is interested in his welfare, and that employee also understand that okay, working with this organization in the long term, there is a possibility for me to buy my own house, buy my own car, all those things. That is when you create a large organization. So I think these are all very important things. Many times we don't trust our employees. I think this trust issue is always there. Whatever we teach today, also whatever we tell today, but on the back of the mind, if you think, okay, let me implement, but why should I give him that 30,000 rupees as a magic gift? So what if he leaves me next month? It's okay, but all the other employees are seeing that you are giving that incentive. All the other employees see that okay, this man is somebody who's really interested in my well-being. So all those are also important. I think many things which we see, we understand these are things which have to be done, but we don't try to implement it because we have that lag. We don't think that it is suitable for my organization, or that is only for the large corporates. So those are the, I think those are the things we have to overcome when we really want to manage our employees properly. And end of the day, the person who opens the door for the patient, or the person who sits outside your hospital where the footwear is being left out, or the OT nurse, all those people also deliver value. And people are all, patients now are not only okay with giving 6 results. Patients also are very interested in getting treated properly. Getting, because many times this attitude of the staff is like, even in private hospitals which are not having this corporate scenario, many of the staff still belong to the government era. So they treat the patients badly, they don't talk to them properly. So you try, so why is that staff behaving that way? Because either she is not qualified for the job, or she is not paid well, or she has some other problem. So if you keep your people happy, if you keep them happy, your patients are going to be happy, and your organization's revenue is going to improve. So we cannot improve the revenue to 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore without, when you have unhappy people working for you. I think the most core of this concept, I think it may be needing more than 1 month also to tackle it, but it's okay. So I think something really important, and when these things are implemented, so what I want you to take home is a few points which you can go and implement. And another thing is, we have like group of 20-25 people now. So what is working in your hospital, we even have the opportunity to network. We even can cross thinking can also happen, cross ideas generation, and then we can share the ideas with, okay, this worked for me, this didn't work for him. All those things are also possible in a small group. I think those are my inputs. I will let Prashant to continue.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh. You know, this thing that you said reminds me of that story when HR manager went to a CFO and said he needs a particular budget to train people in the organization. The CFO went to the CEO and said, what if we spend so much on these people and they leave the organization? So the CEO replied that, what if we don't spend this money and they stay in the organization? They would be untrained people, and obviously it will affect the way we are productive. So it's very, very important to spend this. So we should not look at our people as cost centers. They are profit centers. They are generating revenue for you by the interactions. So if you look at them from with that mindset, you will obviously handle them very differently. So and when I talk about, say, hierarchy, so in an organization of yours, there will be a hierarchy, but you have this thing, and I've seen this in small practices. You will have your loyalists. You will have your old time staff. They will be breaking hierarchy. Even they're the center manager, they'll come directly to you, and you will listen to them. So what they will get is a little biased treatment, and everybody else will feel bad about it. What you should be doing is you should curb this desire of yours to handle these people directly if there is a manager in your system, and tell that person also, please go through the hierarchy. Because if you break the hierarchy, then obviously there'll be chaos. The decision making will get affected. So maintaining hierarchy and allowing that it is not broken is extremely important for the organization to have people who are motivated and that they don't feel that there is a bias Even the managers should also not have bias towards particular people. They should be having, the same behavior towards everybody, and they should take decisions based on what the reality is. Not because if they like somebody, they'll do something different versus, they don't like somebody. Typically, what will happen is if I don't like somebody, I will not approve his leave. But if I like somebody, I will say, okay, no, you go on leave, even though there is a crunch time right now. So that is something as a leader that you have to, promote. And that is very important. Like this is an organogram. Now, typically you'll say this is, it should be in a corporate hospital. No, in your hospital also, your staff should know that there is a manager who reports to the medical director, various HODs. If you have a large number of staff, you can even have head of departments. Suppose you have 4 optometrists, one of the optometrists who's senior and who's deserving should become the head of department. So all the optometrists report to the head of department. The head of department reports to the center manager. The center manager reports to the medical director. So if leaves have to be sanctioned, it should not all come to you. There should be a person who should be handling that, and you should be working more on the strategy, the vision, the clinical practice. So delegate. Another thing I've seen in small practices is doctors are very wary of handing over the power or the authority. They keep everything with themselves. And that is basically increasing your burden. Let go of that. Give the authority, but also make them accountable. So if you're giving the authority to a manager, you should give him the accountability that I'll be asking you if something goes wrong. So he should have the authority to, recruit people or to give leaves to people or to give punishments if they are required, warning letters, all those things. And you are the one who is taking report from him. So your headache and hassle will be so much reduced. So a proper hierarchy in an organization, the way I've shown, should be there, irrespective of the size of the organization. So this is not something which is only applicable in big organizations. Even if you have 7, 10 people also, you can have something which shows people how the organization works. So this is extremely important that you should be looking
A
at.
template for this organogram which you can share, and this organogram should it be made public? Like, do they stick it outside, or is it
So
only?
in no, in many organizations, the organogram is like when you have the patient's rights and responsibilities and all, they even exhibit the organogram. You know why? Because if they have, even the patient has to escalate. That if suppose there is a problem with, if I'm having a problem with the optometrist, whom do I go to? So the escalation, they will know, okay, there is somebody who's a unit head or somebody who's a facility manager or a center manager that they should go to. And it's extremely important that it also becomes part of when you are making people join you. So when people are joining you, what you should be doing is these things become part of the joining kit. People should be told what are the key things that they should be looking forward to. Who is going to be there reporting, supervisor? Who will the supervisor? Suppose, typically happens, I have a problem with my supervisor. I think he is biased. He's not listening to me. Now, as a company, you should also be able to tell that if the supervisor is not solving your problem, they should know whom to go to. What is the level beyond the supervisor? So that's the hierarchy of escalation. That if my supervisor is troubling me, I should be able to go to the person above and solve my problem. If it doesn't solve there, I should have a solution above. The final buck will stop at you. All of you are the promoters or the medical directors, so the buck stops at you.
Let's say I am an individual hospital, like I am an ophthalmologist, and I have two optometrists with me, and then there is an optical shop person, and there is some patient coordinator. I mean, let's say a 10-person organization. So,
Hmm.
how do I then everything is I'm at the top now? How do I create an organogram?
So that is why I'm saying that even if it's a hospital is small, you should have one coordinator between the staff. You have to nominate one person who becomes effectively the manager. And this is something which is missing in many small organizations. What they do is the promoter is the manager. The promoter is the coordinator. The promoter doesn't have a layer between him and the staff. Now, even if there are 6 staff and you think that your optometrist is the most, say, experienced and somebody who has some, managerial capabilities, you make that person the manager. So what will happen is the 4 staff below will report to the optometrist. The optometrist is the manager coordinating everything. And beyond the optometrist, you will be there. Always and always have a layer between you and the staff. So that single point of contact, or we call it the sutradhar, or the manager, or the center manager. Now, necessarily, it doesn't mean that the center manager is an MBA with hospital management degree and a lot of experience. No, It can be a senior person. It can be somebody who is probably 2 years of experience, has worked as a probably in administration in a hospital and has joined you. But the advantages of taking that person will be 10 times the cost that you think that the person is, end of the day, we always look at cost. Why do we hire people at 12,000, not 15,000 or 16,000? Because we think we will save cost, because end of the day, we're looking at our revenue is very less. And we don't want to bear the cost. But the mistakes that these people do with their inefficiencies and their lack of knowledge will be far more than what you are saving in that 3,000 a month by not paying the right kind of people or hiring the right kind of people. Always invest in the right kind of people. And trust me, I've seen organizations who have gone beyond their way to invest in the people. They have done far better than the organizations who have not done that and kept people who are, like I've seen many organizations taking trainees, not taking people who are very experienced. Then they make mistakes. The trainee optoms and the young optoms will make mistakes in refraction and biometry, and what will happen is patient will get agitated. So we saved some money, but what happens in that is the saving has led to the organization suffering because of shall I say poor results. So, you need to empower your people, you need to train your people, you need to evaluate them on a regular basis, you have to motivate them. You are the motivational guru for, all the staff that you have to manage them. But please have people under you who can handle these things. Now, when I say handle these things, first
Sorry.
thing,
Can we have this creating this organogram as one of the assignment for our doctors for the group members?
yes. Yeah. So each organization has, all of you know your set of people, the number of people that you have, the qualities, the qualifications. Based on what we have said, try to create an organogram and share that organogram with us. We will help tweak it and make it, shall I say, more as it should be. And you should then, in principle, implement it also. See, I think what Dr. Senthil has mentioned, this is not a theoretical 1 year session happening where it will be only theoretical gyan being given. We want things to be which are practically implementable and relevant to your practice. If in every month and every module you can even implement 6, 7 things. So imagine in a year you have implemented 70 things, which will hopefully make your practice better. So in terms of an organogram, you will then think, do I have the right, what this organogram will make you think? Maybe I'm missing a particular person. Maybe my practice should have this one person which I never thought, because my organogram looks like, doesn't have a marketing person, or maybe I should have probably one center coordinator, or maybe I should have some senior person who handles this thing, and I am kind of handling that person rather than directly being the manager for all the people. So make your draft organogram, share with us. We will give you the inputs, and by the end of the month, you will have a proper organogram which you can be implementing in your system. So that is something we should be doing.
If you feel that your organization is missing that layer, there is nobody beyond you and everybody else is at the same level. Just give me 1 minute, I'll mute. So then we have somebody wherever in India, if you are there, it's okay. But if you think that there is a need for a center manager kind of a person, or that intermediary layer which Dr. Prashant is telling, so we can help you get that manager. So Kirti Pradhan sir, he is not here. So he said he has got wide connections with all these management college students. So if at all you need a manager, so you send us details with your location and other things. So we can try to source a manager, because that is also important. Within this 1 year, if you have a manager, then a lot of things will get implemented. If you are the only person
True.
going to get this thing, so I think another assignment you should do, you can pay them say 30,000 or 50,000, whatever it is going to cost, but I'm sure they will be getting you more than what you are going to spend. I think they will help with a lot.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. The
And
benefit that they'll provide you will be 10 times or even more of what the salary that you're paying them, actually.
And we are also ready to help you get that person. So if
Hmm.
you are ready to pay them, we can help you get that person. And that person will implement a lot of things which we are, if you don't have that kind of a person, as of now, maybe you select the next smarter person, because as of now, all of us, the doctors is the smartest person in the hospital. So whom you think has been with you for a longer time, who's dependable, who is honest, that person can be the layer between you and the remaining staff. So you select them, and then you can put them. So all of you, I think, create that organogram. I think it's something very important. If we can do only that from today's session, I think that is more and this makes you think like as the, because even now I am also thinking like who is the next person who is dependable in my organization also. So whom I can trust and everybody else can report him. That is how, because see, I used to think like how is somebody running like Infosys companies in India, but the CEO of Infosys sometimes is always in the UK or so in a different country. But how is he running the full company from there? Is because they have these multiple layers. There are multiple layers of people who report. Otherwise, how can one person manage a company with 100,000 employees or 200,000 employees? So whatever, this is something very valuable. I think all of us have to try think on those lines, and when you sit and draw that organogram, then you will be understanding, oh, that person is missing, or I don't have anybody who is dependable other than me. Once you have that dependable person, then I think most of the things will get sorted out. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Please, I got a
Yeah.
little excited about this.
No, please, please, please. So we will now talk about recruitment and staffing in terms of, the strategies for hiring and compliances and even the benefits and all, which is a very important. See, your organization should be able to attract good talent. And I have seen many of the standalone practices have, benefits or policies which are not at par with what standalone hospitals alone, not corporate hospitals, but even the local standalone hospitals are providing. So when they can't compete, then their biggest crib is, I don't get good people, Prashant. Then I look at their policies and I tell you, this is the answer. You're not getting good people because your policies are such that will not attract good talent. So we will cover these things, in detail. So when you need good people, you need to identify what are the skill sets you need. So you have to please jot down the hard skills, the soft skills, the background, the minimum qualifications, what the minimum experience. Maybe you need a senior optometrist, you want somebody with more than say 7, 8 years of experience. You need to find out about their salaries. Now, a senior optometrist with 10 years of experience will not come at 30,000. So you need to know what people of that experience are being paid in the market. So sometimes we always say that my maximum salary I'll pay is, 20,000 rupees. But that particular person or of that potential in the market is getting 25,000. How will you make that person join at 20,000? So you need to understand the competition. You need to understand what kind of salaries these people are getting. You decide the kind of person you need, whether you want a diploma optometry or an MSc or a bachelor's. You want a manager if you want with the at least a BBA or an MBA with some experience in hospital management, what kind of soft skills your person should have. Create all of that. So that will be the template by saying if anybody matches this template, the salary range, the qualifications, the number of years of experience, the skill set, I will take that person. So once you have made that thing where you have said that, okay, these are the things I need, then you can start posting on it. Like, all of you must be wondering, Naukri is, on free, we don't get too many posts. Please try Indeed. Across the clients that I'm working in the, tier 2, tier 3, tier 1 metros, Indeed has free job postings. You just post the job on indeed.com and you will get a lot of CVs there, which you can filter and then call for interview. You can create posts, job posts, which you can share on social media platforms of your hospital. And one very important thing is that, and I've seen work beautifully, is that that same post, please make sure you and your entire team members are sharing it on their WhatsApp status, because it will reach out as a networking effect to multiple people, and suddenly somebody will call you and say, I'm interested in that job of the OT technician. So put the posts on free portals like Indeed. If you have a paid portal of Naukri, do that. Create posts which you will share on in your social media platforms, and your staff can share across. If you're not able to get through all these things, the last resort is usually to engage with the manpower agency. Now, manpower agency till now were charging 1 month salary of the staff, which we say 8.33%. But today, a lot of the agencies are even charging 15 days, which is like half of the month's salary of the staff. And they will give you a replacement if the person leaves within 3 months. So suppose a person joins in, you've paid the money to the agency, now the person moves out in 1 month. That agency is liable to give you a replacement. So recruitment also happens through a lot of networking. So a lot of organizations have staff referrals. So what you can do is if you need an optometrist in your team, you announce that we need an optometrist. If somebody refers a candidate, we'll give you a referral bonus. So that motivates your team members also to help in recruitment. So through internal, staff referrals, from these social media posts, these job posts like Indeed and Naukri, or from agencies, or even the WhatsApp status, like I've been hiring doctors all my life, and when I put a post on my WhatsApp status, there have been so many times doctors have seen that status and responded that, I would be interested in that job opportunity. Explore all of these, because I have seen a lot of tier two, tier three, organizations where the doctors have said that, it's very difficult, Prashant, to get a staff for me, for my organization, because it's a small place. So you have to employ all kinds of ways and means to get that staff. So please utilize all of these, things which are required. Like, this is some sample of some job posts where you can mention about the qualifications, what kind of experience you need, what's the location, and you can also share whatever CV and phone number, that you may be accessing. And these can be put on the social media posts, can be put on WhatsApp, can be put everywhere. And trust me, you will be able to get responses from these, and you will get queries, and you will be able to probably fulfill your requirements. So that is something which, will help you get the staff on board when you need them. The second thing which I have mentioned is that people will join you only when you have clearly defined, transparent, and, shall I say, healthy HR policies. HR policies which are at par with what your competitors are giving. So one thing is always, if we say, know yourself, but know your enemy better. Please understand, in your city. This is, I think, one exercise which all of you can do is, the next few days, find out what are the in standalone hospitals like yours. What are the typical policies? Policies with respect to notice period, leaves, probation period, overtime, gratuity, maternity leave, when do they give their salary? Do they give it in the account? What are the conveyance policies? What that will do is, when you do this exercise and you find out about five or six, counterpart hospitals in your city or town, you will find maybe your policies are not at par. Maybe your policies are maybe lesser, or maybe you may be surprised that your policies are better. If it is better, no issue. But if it is not, then maybe you have food for thought. You will do something about it. So, and I'm not saying you will be comparing yourself with the Apollos, the ASGs, the Center Sites, and the Agarwals, and all. I'm talking about standalone hospitals in your territory. What are the policies that they are having? And if their policies across, you can make an Excel sheet. You can put your policies, put the policies of those 4 5 hospitals you found out, compare, and then you will see maybe your policies in particular areas maybe not at par. So that is something that you need to be working upon. And
Regarding this policies, one suggestion I have is, can we all come together with a consensus that all our group, these attendees of this program, maybe we should give a name for all our delegates. We cannot call them delegates, so we should call them all our colleagues, or so we can have a standardized format. We can all come together, and then maybe all the group hospitals can implement the same thing. If it is not going to be very different geographically and other things, like say notice period, let's have all of us have a notice period of 1 month or two, which is you can suggest the standards which are being followed basically in smaller scale organizations, and we can all have a standard HR policy draft at the end
we
of.
can do that. And I think if, that will be like, all of the delegates who are here, participants who are here, some tweaks they may be doing based on their local geography, that maybe some of the policies they may need. But what I'll be doing in the next few minutes that I'll be talking about, basic recommended template. Like, if I talk about here that, your notice period typically should be 1 month, and it should be applied only for confirmed employees. So typically what happens is, if an organization, you hire a person, the first 6 months is probation. So in the probation, usually there is no notice period from either side. But once the employee is confirmed, then you give 1 month notice period that they have to give when they resign. Or if you want them to leave, you have to give them 1 month salary. This another thing which we have seen is a concept of security deposit. This is a very redundant and a very old school thing which people have done. Is, what we do is that for the the first 6 months of the employment, we deduct some percentage of their salary and they say we keep it as security. Please don't do that. If you're doing it, stop doing that. It's something which is not advisable. Now, what is the security that you will have? Typically, you are giving salary by either the 7th or the 10th of every month. So if they run, even after taking the salary, you have 7 days of salary of theirs, which they have worked but not yet paid for. But beyond that, please do not try to keep any security deposits taken. It will not attract the right talent because they'll say that this is a practice which is very, very, archaic and something which is not recommended. And you should also provide proper relieving and experience letter when they leave. That's very, very important. So they should get an experience letter on your letterhead or a relieving letter. They should have their full and final should be completed. And usually that should be completed within 40, 45 days of their leaving. So you don't delay it. Sometimes these standalone organizations, the full and final can get delayed for very long. And that also creates bad blood of people who have left you. So that should not be done. And the probation period, which I said, this is the time of the employee testing you and you testing the employee. So it's like, courtship. So it will be complete and finalized once, both are happy with each other. So what happens is that if you feel that the employee is not up to the mark, you may extend the probation by another 3 months. So you will say that we have seen, but you still have these areas of improvement. If you do that, we will confirm you. So probation period will be, as I said, 6 months and can be extended by another 3 months if the person's performance is not up to the mark. Overtime. This is another concept which, many hospitals are not following, but their people are working overtime. You have your OT staff and optometrists sometimes extending work, front office, counselors, but they are not being paid. So what you should be doing is anybody who the management asks to do overtime, and the payment can be anything between 1 to 1.5 times of their normal salary. There are many organizations who are paying 1.5 times of the normal salary because they said this is extra you're doing, so we'll pay you extra. So whatever hours that they work in a month, which is beyond their what we call 9 hours, and that should be paid to them, and it has to be approved by the management. There are some people who will just, most of you will have biometric attendance systems, so people will just be whiling away time thinking that they'll get overtime. No, it's only when you ask them to do overtime, it has to be approved. People have overtime registers when they mention that the requirement is there, and it should be dispersed along with the salary. And you should obviously take action if they are doing overtime without approvals, and you should have a record keeping. Many organizations say, no, this is not, I'm not going to pay them for that. Trust me, people will not be willing to, give their 100% and give you extra hours if they're not being paid for the time that they're doing beyond the call of duty. So this is extended hours. Please make sure that you have a policy to take care of their payments in that time.
Sir,
This is
can we ask questions?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, this is Dr. Kalyan Chote from Nasik. Sir,
Yes, sir,
regarding the
Kalyan.
overtime, how do we calculate? I mean, it may not be of, there'll be a few hours only. So how do we, keep an account of it?
Good question. So now, example, you have a overtime register in which a particular OT staff has done, say, 8 hours of overtime in a month. So typically what you're doing is that everybody is being paid for, say 9 hours of duty and multiplied by the number of days. So there is the per hour or a per day that the salary can be divided to. So what you will do is based on the number of hours, based on the salary that they have, you will be giving them. So suppose somebody has done 9 hours of overtime. So that is basically 1 day. So that person at the end of the month will be given salary, additional salary of 1 day along with the salary. It will come as a separate thing. It will come as an overtime allowance. So you will basically be ensuring through biometric the calculation of the hours that they do extra. Because if suppose somebody punches in at 9 o'clock, was supposed to punch out at 6. Because he's worked overtime, he's punching out at 8 o'clock. So that day he's done 2 hours. Now these 2 hours and all get accumulated over the over the month. You will know from the biometric how many extra hours that person has done. Based on their salary for the month, how which you can calculate for the day, you will know how much that person has to be dispersed. And if you want to give them at 1x, you will give them that. If you want to give them at 1.5x, you will multiply that by 1.5 and you will give them as overtime. But it all has to be approved. Never give overtime unless and until it has been approved by the management. So that is something which one should calculate. And for that reason, I will suggest to everybody, even though how small the organization is, please have a biometric attendance system. There are many organizations who have registers for attendance. Those are not the ways to manage. You will not be able to get an accurate picture of this. Biometric machines are now becoming quite reasonable. You get machines from anything ranging from
We
6,000
are
to
using.
12,000. So I'm sure if you're using that, calculating overtime will become easier.
Sir,
Can I
can
ask
Thank you.
one question?
can we have some recommendations, like some company or for the biometric attendance?
So there is Matrix is there. There are multiple companies. I will put it on the group also. We'll share details which you can. So these are companies where you will get proper service and support, so that you are not going to be. So there's issues sometimes with the software and all. So we will share the details of places you can, the vendors from which you can buy biometric machines.
Could I?
So the next, I will come
Can I
to
ask
this
one thing?
sensitive topic, which creates a lot of heartburn amongst a lot of standalone practices, is leave policy. So just to, on a lighter note, I took over consulting of a small hospital 2 years back, and I said, "What's your leave policy?" So we are very generous. We give 2 leaves a month. I said, "That's nice. That's 24 leaves, which is good." So I said, "Okay, what about the week offs and all?" So that's what we give, 2 week offs. They were calculating those 2 week offs as leaves. So we obviously have, 1 week off is obviously a given thing. It is beyond that. What you're giving is what, the leave policies are. Now, when I say leave policy, please understand the corporate healthcare, the leave policies are, 30 to 40 in a month. So you're competing with corporates where they're giving 30 to 40. Am I saying to give that? No. What I am going to be, as I'm mentioning on the slide, I'm giving you two options. You can go for the conservative 20 or a little liberal 25. But I would suggest nobody to have anything lesser than that. Now, if it's 20, you can come. So there are three kinds of leaves. You have earned leave, casual leave, and sick leave. So in the 20, you can divide it 10, 5, 5. In the 25, you can divide it 10, 10, 5. Now, earned leaves and sick leaves, but you carry forward. So you will encash your earned leaves and you'll carry forward sick leaves. And earned leaves are not given in the probation period. Earned leaves are only eligible once you complete the probation period of 6 months. And earned leaves are carried forward and accumulated, but you cannot do beyond 45 days. Some organizations have it 50 days, which means if you want to encash them, you can't encash beyond 45 days. Beyond that, they will lapse. And casual leaves will get lapsed at the year end, which means you can't carry forward your casual leaves to the next year. The only leaves you can carry forward are earned leaves and sick leave. Earned leaves are encashed. By the way, the encashment is not done on the gross salary. The encashment is done on the basic. So sometimes we have this thing, he's on 20,000 rupees. If he takes 30 days of encashment, I'm going to pay him 20,000 when he leaves the organization. You'll not pay him 20,000. The basic pay is usually half, 50% of your gross salary. So you'll pay him 10,000. Now, what that will also do is he will try to probably conserve those leaves, because he will try to, encash them when he leaves the organization. So even though you're giving them the leaves, they're not using all of them. Some of them they're keeping for the time when they encash. And the sick leaves, again, people will take when they need. And sometimes they will gather the leaves, because there will be a point of time where they will go through a bad medical or a surgical emergency where they may require prolonged admission. Those gathered leaves will be helping them at that point of time. So you can choose either of those two, but you should also do this thing. Find out locally in your area, standalone hospitals are following what policies. But even if they are lesser than this, you should be the standout, because this will help you attract. Because trust me, when people are seeking organizations, they're looking at if the salary comes on time. Is the leave policy, beneficial? Do they have, any group mediclaim? So these are the things people are searching for in organizations, and leaves is a very important element which they see for which you have to give them the benefits which are at par with everybody else. The other
Sir,
thing beyond these,
yeah, please complete, sir. Then I'll ask the question.
no, I was about to start something, so you may ask, please go ahead.
Yeah, this was regarding the leave. Suppose we are offering these leaves. Can you just as if we are trying to frame our policies for leave? So
Tell me.
what is the earned leave? Mean to say it's a kind of leave which will be paid if he takes, but if he doesn't take, even in that he can be paid for. Sick is it is very
Yes.
much understandable. And what
Yes.
is casual? How do I define all this?
Okay. So earned leaves are usually your planned leaves. It means you will never give earned leave without 1 week notice. So earned leave cannot be taken tomorrow. I cannot apply for earned leave tomorrow. For that, I can only apply casual leave. Earned leaves are for planned holidays, which means if I want to go on a vacation, I will tell my employer in advance, I want to take 1 week off. Okay, I'm applying right now. That is earned. If I
So
don't take earned, if I don't take earned, like if I was due for 10 earned leaves, I consumed only 5. The 5 will get carry forward to the next year and to the next year. And finally, when I leave, whatever is gathered of those days, I will get the basic pay amount as encashment. That will come in my full and final. So that is your earned leave. Casual leave is for your unplanned short leaves. I want to take a day off and all, and I want to, do some chores or something. That is your casual leave, which I can apply even 1 day in advance. They will not carry forward, by the way. So if I have 10 casual leaves, they will lapse. Suppose I take 5 casual leaves in the year and December my leaves are expiring, they will lapse. They will not be carried forward to the next year. The earned leave and sick leaves can be carried forward to the next year, which I can avail in the next year also if I need. And I can't encash sick leaves, earned leaves I can encash. So what you do is, that is why these 3 leaves, and one difference I said is earned leaves will not be eligible during probation. So only once
yeah.
they complete probation, they are eligible for earned leaves. While sick and casual leaves, they can be eligible from day one. Now, when you
You
have,
can
yeah, please
yeah,
go ahead.
you can just put a template of just this in write up so that we can because all these details are not there with our small organizations.
I will share a template on how to structure your leaves so that you can plan in your hospitals accordingly. Don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
and also about the, like you said, the basic salary. We are actually offering the total amount as a salary, so we don't bifurcate it like a basic and all. So do guide us about that also.
We will tell you that also, that how do you, so that you can even give pay slips. Typically,
Yeah.
many organizations, obviously, the staff they're applying, say, for a loan, they need a pay slip. So they should be given a pay slip which will have a breakup of their salary. So there is a cost to
Yes.
company, there is a gross salary, and then there's a breakup. We'll
Yeah.
help you in structuring that also for your
Yes. Thank you.
employees.
Thank
सर मैं
Welcome,
कुछ
welcome.
पूछ सकता हूँ क्या? Can I ask something?
Yeah, Dr. Ashwini, please, please.
Just in 2 minutes. Today only I took some decision because so वो ठीक है या नहीं है, आप अगर बता पाएंगे तो that will be better. First decision is I made a compulsory of having a uniform because I had a uniform but they are not using regularly. So I made it compulsory for everybody to use it. Second thing, and timing also I made it compulsory because somebody comes 8:30, somebody comes at 9 o'clock, then somebody puts in group that he has not come. So to make it uniform, I made it this. And regarding bonuses extra, for today I said my OT starts at 7 o'clock. So usually what happened before 31st December is they used to come at 7 o'clock, so they get to have breakfast from my end. So at the end of the day, they don't feel benefited of that, and they might not need 100 rupees, 150 rupees breakfast every day. If I might need, but they might not need. So what I did from today, that I will pay 150 rupees per person for the number of OTs that this month has been done. For example, if this month I have done 20 OPDs, so every person who has come from 7 o'clock on that day, they will get at end of the month 150 rupees multiplied by 20 days. That is a 3,000 rupees bonus that will they get. Plus Sunday duty, because one of my staff is Christian, so he is a pastor, so he does not come. So other staffs have anguishes, he is getting a leave. So I started giving whoever comes on Sunday, they will get a bonus, full bonus of that day. So plus in our area, what happens? There will be hospital gets closed down from 2 to 5 o'clock in Odisha. So the patient does not come to our hospital, or I also don't keep patients. It's not like corporate, like from morning 9 o'clock to evening 5 o'clock. In my hospital, today's OT started at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock, then 9 o'clock to OPD to 2 o'clock, and evening 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So I said, whoever stays in the lunch hour, they will get 150 rupees for lunch. They can go. That one person stays in the hospital in case of emergency, and all the other staff go to the home. All remaining 4 and 5 staffs. So in this way, I divided the bonus. Today only I decided to give these bonuses. And one more I added, whoever does not take a single leave in a whole month will get a 2,000 rupees extra bonus for that month. For example, if one person has not taken single leave and not even a half day leave, that person will get extra 2,000 rupees bonus for that. And Sunday duty extra will be paid on the basis of salary. For example, that you said now, work hour basis पे, लेकिन breakfast वो सब कुछ equally रहे, मतलब like 150 rupees and lunch is 150 rupees. But this Sunday duty whoever does will be paid according to their salary base. For example, if somebody is getting 15,000, they will get 500 rupees. If somebody is getting 30,000, they will get 1,000 rupees extra. It maybe 1.5 times I will make that do. But today only I started this. If anything need to change or anything wrong I've done or anything that if you can guide.
So, Dr. Ashwini, first of all, I would say that, very generous. I think in terms of giving them, and there are many organizations who have cafeterias where they say that, breakfast or meals and all are provided, especially for people who are coming early. Definitely a motivation for people not taking leaves. You can have that, especially in the peak season. Sometimes people say, like many eye hospitals, December and March are peak months. You don't want normally people to take leaves in that period because work is such that. So motivating them can be done. Uniform, I always feel, should be mandatory. We have this concept which we'll be talking about, having grooming audits so that you can even pick up people who are not in uniform. They should be penalized. So either they can be a verbal warning, they can be some written warnings, half-day leave reductions, all that, because you want your staff to always be in uniform. So if people are doing Sunday duties, they can be given either compensatory offs. So there's this which I'm talking about, whenever somebody works on a day which was supposed to be a holiday, like if you have a national holiday, there are many hospitals which are closed on national holidays. Like national holidays basically is 26th Jan, 15th August, and 2nd October. Many hospitals, they say we will make people come, small group of people, but we'll give them compensatory off. So which means for the holiday that they were supposed to work, they are getting off, which they can take some other time within 1 month. So you can give this concept of either you can give them a financial motivation, or you can reduce that by saying, okay, if you work on this day, you can take an off on some other day within 1 month. So that is called as a compensatory off. While organizations can choose to either remain closed on national holidays, or which can be a leave for everybody, or if they want to open on national holidays, they can call in staff, but whoever comes should get a compensatory off on some other day where they can take on their own, kind of accord. So working on holidays should be compensated. People coming early should be either given provision of a breakfast, or they can be given allowance like you have given. People who are not taking leaves in, shall I say, critical months, either a financial reward, or that can be considered during their appraisal. Please understand, we will also talk about performance management system. So people who are doing this thing, helping the organization in difficult times, that should be factored when you're giving them the appraisal. So whatever you have done, they are really, helpful tools towards people, and I'm sure that your staff will definitely be motivated to kind of, deliver beyond their 100%.
And sir, I have done one more thing. I deduct 1,000 rupees from their salary, and every month I add 1,000 from my end. Sometimes 2,000, sometimes 1.5 thousand, depending on my capacity. Minimum is 1,000, and I created one mutual account and invested on my portfolio. On my portfolio, I invested that amount. For example, 5 people are there, from 5,000 from their end and 5,000 from my end. 10,000 I invest them. The condition is you will remove it when you leave the hospital, and I will pay that money, whatever the maybe 5 year, 10 year, 2 year, 3 year down the lane. But once you remove that, you cannot join that program. Re-enter. If you
so that's
re-enter,
like a community investment scheme that you're doing, but you are contributing 1,000 from your side also. So which means if a person is giving 1,000, the investment that he's getting to save is 2,000. And if he leaves the organization in 3 years or 4 years time, whatever the value of that amount would be, he will get that. So that's a nice way of, shall I say,
for example, 5 people have accounted that time. I will share that money from my pocket, but that I will keep that share for my name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we are digressing from the main topic. There is one related question from, I think, Dr. Kim Jacob. If you want to ask directly, or
Please ask. Please
Yeah,
ask.
Yeah.
Dr. Kim, please ask.
Hi, sir. So, thank you, sir, for such a nice presentation. So, my name is Jacob. I work for a corporate setup. So, I just have a question. Is there a mandatory rule by any state or central government that this should be the minimum policy of leaves that should be given by an organization? Or is it up to the organization just like saying that we don't give any leaves? Is there any standard protocol that there is a
No.
minimum setting of leaves that should be
So
provided?
as
Thank you.
per the Factories Act, you have for a minimum working days you need to give, but the problem is that it is not being followed. There is the implementation of that. So what people are now left to is that they are left to their own whims and fancies of what they do. So there is no standardized thing that they need to be X number of earned leaves or Y number of sick leaves or Z number of. So what they do is they do either as per their own accord, or they look at what the market is doing and they will kind of keep themselves either somewhere near to that. But what we need to be ensuring is that when we are giving leaves, whether it is compensatory offs, restricted holidays, national holidays, earned leave, sick leave, and even casual leaves, please understand this is one of the major, shall I say, motivators or demotivators for your staff when they are either joining you, and there can be a reason why they're leaving you. So we need to be, and why we don't give? Because there's a cost. You say that I need to keep more staff because if they go on leave I need to be taking care, but that's the cost of doing business. In one line, I have to say, if you are running a business, you need to keep a certain set of people to be taking care of the work, and they need to be given the leaves which they need. And for that, if you are doing anything below that, you will have demotivated staff who will never be giving the 100%, and that would be very easy prey to competitors to poach them from you, because they know that this is something, and they will tell them in the interview, by the way, come and join us because our leave policy is much better than yours, and you will not be able to do anything about it. So best is to, the new year has begun, please look at your leave policies and revise them as you need to.
Thank
So
you.
let's
Thank you.
move ahead.
So can I have a question, sir?
ask the group members if they already have a leave policy, please share it to us. Or we can actually, by the end of this 1 month, if we can all have like
Have a
a
standardized leave policy which all of you can implement. I think that will be something which will be a very good takeaway from this month. If you are able, and trust me on that, you will be able to attract good talent, you'll be able to retain talent, because the leave policy will be up to their expectations and sometimes even beyond expectations.
and
So
one
one
more,
important questions I want to ask, sir.
just 1 minute.
Ask.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
So this is Dr. Amit Solanki. So suppose one employee is giving a resignation with the proper 1 month notice, but
Yes.
During the notice period in our initial 4-5 days, if he found that he or she is trying to disturb the working environment or demotivate the others, like, so in a offer letter itself we have mentioned that we can give the 1 month salary in advance and you can leave without serving the notice period. So what should be done? Like, we should
So
encourage to leave them early.
it's a very good question, Dr. Amit, and glad to interact with you for a long time. So I'll tell you, the company has to protect their interests. So if you find in the notice period a person, maybe he's going and joining a competitor hospital and is trying to demotivate others and trying to even maybe incite others to also leave. No, they may do that 1 month, they may be doing that thing, taking data out of the system and all. Our organization has the right to say, here is your 1 month salary. Please don't come from tomorrow. But you're doing it only because that person was behaving as a nuisance. If they are not behaving as a nuisance, please allow them to work for a month peacefully. But if they are creating nuisance, you have a right, but you have to give them the 1 month. See, you can't see the only 2-3 times where you are throwing a person out without a notice is where there is a financial fraud. There's no notice to be given at that point of time. They have physical violence, sexual harassment. These are the few things in which you will waive off everything and then say, today you're terminated, from tomorrow don't come. But otherwise, give them the notice period. And if they create nuisance or nonsense, please give them the salary for the due remaining. Suppose they were doing this nuisance on the 5th day. So ask them to leave, pay them the 1 month salary and get rid of, because they will create far more damage by being in the system rather than you trying to think, what should I do? I should follow the norm. You have the right. Only thing is pay them for that period.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move to the
Sir, I
west.
have a question.
It's,
I know this is a very, and I've always known this thing that this part of the presentation will interest the most people in terms of questions. Please go ahead, Dr. Vineet.
Hello. Sir, there are certain days in a year, like marriage days, where all the staff won't leave because there certain days are very auspicious. So we have five staff in the morning, five staff in the evening. Three people won't leave on the same day. So what to do in that case?
See, one is obviously it depends on your, motivational way to kind of prevent some people. But then I have seen sometimes when the crisis becomes to the extent we have had locum employees, we have taken locum people for that particular day from outside to manage the affairs. Sometimes there's a crisis you have to. Yes, from a particular department, you can't have more than a certain set of people go on leave. But if suppose they have to, you would first try to reduce your appointments that day. You will try to do lesser number of surgeries. You will try to reduce your workload. And if the crisis is still not solved, you may even get some locum people on that particular day to help you. But the best thing should be that you, I'll give you this concept of RH or something called restricted holidays. Now, if you're not giving people the festival holidays or you're not giving them the national holidays and all as offs, what you can do is tell everybody that you can take 2 restricted holidays from a list of 25, which means which will cover all religions, all ethnicities, all cultures, and then people will try to take from their things, not try to take everything on this one particular thing. And if you have a major festival, there are times where the hospital is closed, like it's Diwali. Many hospitals are closed on Diwali because everybody will be off. So then the hospital either is closed or it's for the entire day, or maybe it kind of closes a little early. But these kind of crises you have to manage by trying to reduce the number of people on leave, or maybe bring in locum staff to kind of manage the affairs on that day. So that's how you'll be doing that. So let's move to the concept of gratuity. Most standalone practices, by the way, do not have this, which means that if you have an employee who's serving beyond 4 years and 8 months, technically it is 5 years, but effectively it is 4 years and 8 months, they are eligible for gratuity. Now, gratuity is that it is, the number of years of service multiplied by 15 by 26 of their last round salary calculated and given to them, which should be given in full and final. Now, this is a motivational way of keeping people for long, because they know that if they serve close to 5 years, they will get a handsome sum at the end of that, full and final. Now, as an organization, you may want to, this is more as a retention. It keeps people. There are many people I've seen in my corporate life who have not left an organization after 4 years because, why? Because they knew that there's gratuity around the corner, and that could be a reasonable sum. So please explore the thing that whether for your loyal people, and that's only given when they leave the organization. So gratuity is something that you could consider for your people. This is the concept I was talking about, like your restricted holidays. You can decide the list of restricted holidays, and you can tell people that everybody can avail either 1 or 2 restricted holidays in a year. And what you will do is that some will be clubbing in Raksha Bandhan, some will take on Bhaiya Dooj, somebody will take it on Makar Sankranti, somebody will take on Christmas, somebody will take on Eid, somebody will take on Guru Gobind Jayanti. Everybody with their interests will have some holidays in the year that they can take. So you will be spreading your leaves and not having everybody kind of come on to one particular thing. So that's something that you could take as a concept for, shall I say, from a leave perspective. Another important thing which is important is conveyance policy. Many organizations don't have a concept of conveyance policy. Many of you must be employing marketing staff. Now, when they are going to the field, they are going and meeting doctors, opticals and all, they are using mostly the personal vehicle, which is usually a 2-wheeler. So this 4 rupees a kilometer, it varies. It can be at some places 3.5. In metros, it can be even as high as 5 to 6 rupees a kilometer. So what you should be doing is, based on the kilometers that they have, accumulated in a month, which is recorded, you can give them this conveyance, which is on actuals. I have seen many organizations having like a fixed conveyance, 200 rupees a day or 100 rupees a day. Don't do that. It should be on actuals based on the effort or the distance that he has traveled in a day. And you multiply that by what the local thing, which could be anything between 3.5 to 5 rupees a kilometer for the 2-wheeler. And that should be paid to them on a monthly basis. Versus if you don't do that, trust me, many of the time they will not be wanting to go on the field much because it is going from their own pocket. And don't ever give them a fixed conveyance. conveyance should always be on actuals and nothing should be fixed. So that's something that you should be doing, and this applies especially for your marketing staff. The next thing which comes is the dispersal of salary, which is again a pain point in many standalone hospitals, is that sometimes the salary can be as late as 10th or 15th or 20th. And trust me, one of the biggest reasons for attrition in an organization is this, that sir, salary time pe nahi aati hai. Trust me, you will be interviewing a lot of people when they'll come to you and they'll say why they want to leave that organization is because salary doesn't come on time. Corporates are now doing it on the 31st and 1st, by the way. I'm not saying you go to that extent, but please do not go beyond the 7th of every month. And by the way, have the salary in the bank account. Even if you may have 5-10 people, please have salary accounts and ensure that you disperse the salary into their banks and not as a cash, which many organizations are doing. So please transfer two important things. If you are not doing it, you can change it from this year. Have the salary in the accounts. And second is that ensure that the salary date doesn't go beyond the 7th. So if 7th is a Sunday, you can probably do it a day before or whatever. Nowadays, it's all NEFT and all. Please, as a sacrosanct kind of a thing, have a cutoff that don't have the salary beyond the 7th. I think Dr. Vineet wants to ask something. You've raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Sir, certain staff are part-time staff. So here the PPF officer, here the officers are strict that certain amount of salary should be given to a staff, at least more than 11,000 rupees per month. So if they're part-time staff, how can we show and give them salary in by online?
So I'll tell you, if you have trainees or part-time staff, those people you can still give salary in cash. I'm talking about full-time employees who are permanent, who have joined you, who are on your payroll. Their salaries should be coming into the bank, and you should be eliminating the dispersal of any payments in cash. And I'll tell you another problem which comes is that when they organize these people also, when they're trying to even apply for jobs and all, it becomes a big problem for them to even justify their salary because nobody believes whatever salary is being paid in cash. Versus if it is in bank, they have bank statements. They have, even for the welfare of the staff, bank statement for their salary evidence is extremely important versus getting money into their hands, which has no trail per se, which can be proved. But Amit, I think you have something to ask.
Yeah, sir. So I have a small hospital of 16 staff, and it happens to me often the staff, they comes to me with some financial help for an emergency or for any EMI pay or something. So initially I used to give them in a cash that, okay, whenever you have, you just pay back to me. But now I found that it has happened quite frequently. So I said that I can give you at least 2 or 3 salary in advance in account only. I will not give you cash, and that will be deducted from your monthly salary as a EMI basis. So what can be done, sir?
So there is policies for, shall I say, employee loans. We call them basically employee loans by the organization. Typically, what people do is either they have to be confirmed employees. Some organizations say you should have served at least 1 year. So you don't give these kind of loans to people who are just probably 2 or 3 or 4 months first. Second, there is a capping to it. Now, the capping can be either 2x of salary or 3x of salary. You decide. That is up to you. You will not give beyond that. And then that has to be deducted in installments. Now that installments can be lasting for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. You will be deciding based on the amount also. Because if the amount is significant, the dispersal can be for a longer period. And then that becomes a standard deduction within the salary, that this is the thing which is being waived off. And by the time it gets over, then it's done. So, and again, usually you will also have this thing that if somebody has taken a loan, then for the next 1 year, you will not give him. Otherwise, they become perpetual defaulters, that you finish one and then they ask for another. So first they should be confirmed or long-standing employees. You'll give them as a multiple of their salary. It will be deducted on a monthly basis. And then next time if they have to give, you have to ensure that you don't give it till after a certain gap only, not without that. Otherwise, people will be rampantly kind of doing this thing. And you can decide not to. If somebody has a poor disciplinary track record, there's a liability or anyway wanting for him to leave, you may deny. So it is based on, so you basically say if you're a good standing employee who is committed and has, given his 100%, we will give. So it is not you're bound by, this is an act of generosity. which you can do, but it's definitely helped because end of the day, and it's a 0% interest, so you're not charging any interest on
Right.
that. So that's the advantage they get versus taking it from a bank. But and there are times if they suppose one thing I'll warn you, there are times when you have a loan which is of a higher amount, so hence the multiplier should be less if they go without a notice or all. So sometimes it's difficult to recover. So that's again some
Right.
risk that you will incur for people who may take 1 lakh loan and their salary is only 50,000 and they move without a notice period or whatever, and then you are suddenly finding it very difficult to chase them for that. So that's something I think you should be mindful of.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so
Prashant,
we'll move. Yeah.
PPT presentation, and then the questions we can have in the end.
Done. We can probably do that. Sure. So, general policies, you should give them an employee ID. So that's the ID number, which will be mentioned in the iCard. There should be, as I said, no bias. It should be an unbiased system. Granting of leave should be, there has to be a system that they apply leave to whom. It has to be well in advance. It has to be approved. We talk about PF and ESI, which I'll be talking about, in detail. One is the EPF. So anybody who earns more than 15,000, they are eligible for, a EPF in which there is a contribution both from the employee and the employer, which is to be done. And, it has to be registered. And this is basically when you have an organization which has more than 20 employees. So that's something which I say that, many organizations are trying to. So suppose somebody is around that corner, what they'll do is they show some of the staff as trainees because they don't want to get in. But please understand, these are benefits that PF is, getting an interest rate for the employees at, which is getting into their pension fund and they are getting at the end of their, retirement. So please don't deny them, if you are falling under the PF Act, please ensure that you are doing and not trying to do this. And all your CAs, trust me, all your CAs will give you ways and means to, avoid these things. But if your organization is, coming under the forum of EPF, please do that. And that's something that I would say, even for the ESI. ESI is eligible for people whose salary is less than 21,000. So there's again a contribution. Now, the advantage in ESI is that they and their family members can take benefit in ESI and panel hospitals whenever they fall sick. So that's very important for their health and well-being. So please ensure that if you are under the ESI Act, which is basically more than 10 employees, which is under the Factories Act. So if you have more than 10 employees, you should be following ESI. That is something I feel that all organizations who are coming under it should be mandatorily following these two things, so that the contribution can be from both the employee side and the employer side. As an example, I've shared 0.75 and 3.25, which is given, and the employee and their family members can take benefit in ESI hospitals whenever they fall sick. So that's something that we should always follow. One extremely important thing I want to stress upon is employee discounts. Now they are working in your hospital, whatever, this is like a screenshot I've used of a particular place wherein if suppose they come for their OPD or procedure, they should be free, only charge for the consumables for IPD and give some discounts in opticals. You should pass on that also to their immediate family, which is their spouses, parents, and children. And there can be some discounts you can give for their referrals. Sometimes they will bring their known to as recommendations to the hospitals. Have a structured discount policy. Sometimes, what we do is we do as per our whims and fancies. I like the staff, everything is free. I don't like you, nothing is free. I will give 10%. Do not have wavered models of discount. Document it, share it with your team, and follow it. Follow it for them, for their immediate family members, and for their referrals in terms of friends and relatives. That's something which will again make them feel that they are part of a system which is being valued and they're getting. So you're not going to make money in their surgery. So what you're doing is whatever is my cost of consumables, I'm going to charge that. Rest, I'm not going to make any money out of you. That's something I think you should always be following, especially for the staff, and maybe 40% out of discount on consumables for their family members. Please have a documented policy. Again, one more actionable from this month for people management is each one of you, please, for your own hospital, have a discount policy for the staff and their immediate, shall I say, relatives. That's something that I would suggest all of you to have. Now, this one is something which will be very applicable for very few staff of yours, because many of your hospitals will be having staff anything from say 5 to 30, I'm assuming. Many of them will be under ESI. So people under ESI, there is no need of medical insurance because ESI takes care of that. But then you also have non-ESI staff, which is people getting salary beyond 21,000. Maybe your counselor, maybe your senior optometrist or OT staff or manager or marketing manager may be under this category. What you could do is you can create group mediclaim. Now, group mediclaim doesn't mean you need 20 people, 30 people. Today, even 5, 6 people can form a group mediclaim. Now, what is the advantage of group mediclaim is that pre-existing illnesses are covered. There's low chances of denial. Maternity benefit is there. NICU cover is there, which is normally not there in a personal policy. I know of corporates and standalone hospitals where the promoters have shifted their personal medical insurance into this because of the benefits that it provides. And what you should be doing is 50% of the premium you should bear. And the 50% of the premium of the staff and their immediate family, which is like a family floater, will be borne by them, but on equal monthly installments. So typically, if you have, 10 people and few of them are eligible with their family members, you would be spending 50, 60,000 rupees a year as group mediclaim. Staff may be spending 600, 700 rupees a month as their contribution, which is not going to be something they will feel the pinch. And imagine the benefit when they fall sick or if somebody in the family falls sick, they will get the treatment in the best of hospitals and they'll thank you because you took care of their health. So you took care of the ESI people through ESI. Non-ESI, you can take care from a GMI, we call it, which is group medical insurance. And it doesn't depend that you have to be a large organization for that. Even for small organizations, this is a wonderful welfare tool in which half of the money they are contributing and half is being done by you. So this is something you can definitely consider for your team members. Biometric attendance we talked about. If you don't have it, please have it, and we will share the vendors and all where you can take it. It will create a culture of punctuality. You can allow 45 minutes of late coming in a month gathered. Beyond that, you can start deducting leaves half day in slots of 45 minutes. You can also deduct leaves if they are doing too many missed punches. People can be extra smart, by the way. The day they are late, they will not punch in. Or the day they are leaving early, they will not punch out. So if there are too many missed punches, you can penalize them for that. And you can also use the biometric for their overtime calculation. And if they are being, repeatedly doing things, you can obviously call them and show them the attendance and tell them that they will be, penalized. This can also be part of their appraisal where you'll say, that you were taking too many unplanned leaves and missed punches and late comings and short hours. Sometimes people will do is, they'll come on time but leave early. So which is they're not covering their 9 hours of duty. So biometric attendance will catch that. So don't go for registers, go for biometric machines, which can be used. Nowadays, you have face recognition, you have the fingerprint, or you can use any of them, and not very expensive, and will help you at least create a sense of punctuality and discipline in the organization. So this is something which I will recommend each one of you, irrespective of the size of your organization. And that's how the report will come on. You will know the in time, out time, the work hours, how much they have done, how much they actually planned, what's the variation. Everything will be captured, and this report can be generated every month, and you will know. And this is also used for preparing salary. So when you're preparing salary, you're taking it from here only. So these reports are very helpful when it comes to calculating their pays. So that is something which and the last module for today we are going to be covering is on the hiring practices. So I'll quickly move to the practices where when you get a person, you will obviously, do a reference check. Please do a reference check from the past organizations. Check for their pay slips, but don't just rely on pay slips. Today, a lot of pay slips are getting edited on the softwares. So please also check their bank statements last 6 months. So ask for 2 to 3 pay slips, but check for their 6-month bank statements. Reference check of the previous organization will give you whether there is any integrity issue or character issue or any issue which otherwise you can avoid if there's a negative thing. And have proper interview mechanisms. Do structured interviews. There is a form where you can assess them on that form, and based on that you can give your recommendation. How is he on communication, integrity, learning ability, skills and all. Give them marks, and end of the day you can say recommended or not recommended. These are documented ways so that you know what was the things which was discussed when the interview was done. So use such tools when you are interviewing people. And also check for their soft skills, check for their hard skills, their qualifications, do technical rounds. For people in the OT and optometrists, do technical rounds so that you know that clinically they are sound and you're not making a judgment just by a verbal interview. And make sure that you are getting the right people, because in the end of the day, your culture is determined by the quality of people that you have. So that is extremely important, that you don't make mistakes here. So, do all kind of interviews. You can give them some, case studies or role plays or things. You can give them scenarios, see how they react to those scenarios, do all those things to, sometimes people do stress interviews for managers, see how they respond to the stress. So you are basically trying to see whether he's fitting your, organization or the role that you are searching for. That is extremely important, because at the end of the day, if you hire the wrong person, one bad apple can, create a very rotten basket, and you need kind of, to ensure that you prevent the wrong people from joining your organization. So that is something which you should be doing. And when person joins on board, very, very important that, there are certain templates of things that you have to keep in mind when they join. And you need to give them, an offer letter. Many organizations don't have this concept. There is no offer letter. There is no appointment letter. There is no job description, KRAs, KPIs, and they are just working without any letter. So I've gone to standalone hospitals and I've seen personal files not being maintained, or if being maintained has no documents. The staff says, I've never received any documentation. I've been working here for 5 years. Please have proper onboarding of your staff. And we'll give you examples, you need to make sure that you meet the people when they join, you introduce them to the team, you tell them about, the organization, what are the policies, what are the compliances, how to kind of give feedback. So an induction should be done. I have seen what happens to our people. They join within 2 hours, they're put on the job. So there is no induction as to how they are supposed to be knowing what to do. There's no induction about the organization, about the role, the department. And that's something which will create that those people will then become misfits, and you will then find that they're not good enough for me. It's our responsibility that we did not handhold them. And that is something which should be done in the beginning when they join us. And, to give you an example, very important, like if you have a center manager, now you will ask me, what should the center manager do? So this is KRA is key result areas and KPI is key performance indicators. Imagine this is how you will tell them. You are responsible for all these things. You're responsible for people management, for business promotion, for financial accountability, for quality, for maintenance. You will give them actions, you will give them metrics, how they are measured, and you will give them weightages. Which area, how much of weightage? So this is to be given. So, and a person joins you as a manager, he knows that he is responsible to do all these things. He has to work on trainings, he has to work on communication, he has to work on the facility upkeep, on quality, on business, on patient care, everything. And hence, these are the things which will be given not just for operations manager. This is just one example. Like this is for optometrist. You will have a KRA and KPI for optometrists. So we have these templates for all staff. So what will be done in terms of their patient management, in terms of their development and essential skills, and what weightage each criteria has is something which is told to them. And on this basis, they will be assessed. How they are fulfilling on each metric and on each criteria is extremely important to be given to each category of staff when they join you. And when they join you, what documentation typically you will give them? You will give them an offer letter. So this is a small template that I'm sharing with you. When you can send them even before they're joining, said, okay, we offer you the post and your joining date is so and so, you'll have probation, and these are the things. So what happens is that there is a document. And my suggestion here would be is don't mention the salary here. My experience has been that if you mention the salary in the offer letters, most of the time they negotiate with the current organization and they may stay back. So what you can always say is that the salary is something which was discussed with you. So please, join on so and so date at this, designation and this organization. So that's something which happens when you confirm somebody that you are to join. But once you have confirmed and they have joined you, then there's something which we say is an appointment letter. Now that is to be given once they join you. Usually you can give it within 1 week of their joining. This is more detailed. It has everything from their salary to probation to duties to terms and conditions to leaves, everything. So this will give all details about what is expected from them. So that is something which will be a document which will go into their personal file, which will be received by them. And then they can't claim later on, I didn't know about your policy. I didn't know about confirmation. I didn't know about probation. I didn't know about leaves. So they are signing a document on their joining. And another thing which we have done in many standalone hospitals that we are consulting is create a handbook. Now imagine the handbook will have all these chapters. If there's NABH, fire safety, emergency codes, biomedical, the rights, appraisal process, disciplinary actions, code of conduct, organogram. So this is like a small manual, which can be a soft copy. You don't have to print it. And you can give to the staff on joining, along with the joining kit. So what this will do is it gives them everything that you expect them to know about the terms and conditions while they are working with you. So this is something which will be customized to every organization based on their policies. And once you make it, then you can start giving it to people who are already there, and whoever joins you should. And this will be a wonderful tool for them to be fully aware of what is expected out of them, and nobody can claim ignorance. I didn't do this because I didn't know about it. No, you were given a joining kit employee handbook, and this is, I'll give you a small example of how how this thing works out. What are the facilities available? What are the values? Who's the key staff, and their contact details. What is the employee expectation with respect to dress, appearance, and rules and regulations. Everything is kind of mentioned in this. So that's something which is the employee handbook, which should be given. This is like a job description. Again, an important aspect is what is expected in bullet points of a particular person who is working in a department. So this is something which should be given to, again, each and every staff, so that when they are working in that department, there is clarity of what you expect from them. So this is like expectation setting of what you want them to be doing, and you are making them do, and sharing is as a document. My firm belief is whatever is not documented is not done. So if you're not documenting these things, only telling them verbally, they'll forget about it very soon. But if you have documented, taken a sign off from them and given it to them, they have no excuses. So a job description like this for people is very, very important that you should be following. When they join you, there are certain set of documents which you need them to be submitting, which is you will keep with you. You'll keep their photographs, PAN card, Aadhaar card, their education certificates, copies, their relieving letter from the last organization, the experience letters of all their work that they have done. Registration can be applicable, especially for nurses and doctors, and their bank details, so that you can be, sending their salary when it is due. So this is something typically people bring with them on their joining. So what you can do is, along with the offer letter, you can share this list and say that please bring these on the first day of your joining as kind of joining formalities, and that they will be then put up in the personal file, and you will all the necessary details that you need of that individual through these set. So this is more like a joining formalities that the staff needs to be doing when they join you. You should give them 2 pairs of uniform, and you will not charge them. Typically hospitals have this concept of, we will charge them. That's part of the requirement, that they are wearing your uniform. You have to, suppose they lose or something, yes, then they will have to pay, but otherwise you will give them the uniform. They should be allocated lockers where they can keep their belongings. They should be given ID cards with their, lanyard, which should have the branding of your, hospital. That should be done, and they should be always worn in the neck. That's something which is very, very mandatory and important. You should give them uniforms. Choose uniforms for, for your optometrists, for your doctors, front office, your nurses, your counselors. Everybody should be in uniform. That's extremely important. You should, this is like an example of the lanyard, which has the branding of the hospital, which should be used. You can have badges, which can be made customized for every department. These badges normally are, attached to the lanyard, so that gives like everybody, it's like the credo. What are they following? Like typically, like you can say site saver for consultant, or you could say your vision, our mission for counselors. You can create these kind of nice badges, which and they are very cheap, by the way. Don't they are like 60 to 75 rupees for a badge, but the impact that they create, a kind of professionalism that they create, is very nice. So that is something that you could use in your hospitals. Staff lockers, I can't stress, in one of my organizations, we did a voice of employee and we found out many staff were cribbing that there was no lockers in the hospital. So depending on the number of staff, you could, create, lockers which they can keep their belongings in when they come to the hospital. So that is something which will be an important, shall I say, thing from your side to be contributing so that they can be comfortable while they are working. So this is something which I wanted to cover today. It covers only few modules of the people management. Now we can, Dr. Senthil, open the forum for the Q&A. I believe that there will be some more questions which we have not covered. I think this is the best time for us to cover those questions. From anything that we have talked about today, if you have any query or input or anything that you want to ask, please ask.
Yeah, I think very interesting. Because to be very frank, when had this idea, I didn't know how this will pan out. How are we going to deliver? But after this presentation, I feel that definitely it is lots more we will add. And even this one session it started, whatever starts well, I think will go on well. And today, I think it has been a very interesting start. And other side, I'm also anxious whether every time we could be able to provide this kind of a value. Maybe there are some months where we will have a dip, so I would anticipate not expect similar in all the months, but very interesting. And I feel every ophthalmologist who runs this individual eye hospital, maybe there are 6,000, 7,000 doctors who are running hospitals, should be having this awareness. I wish more people join these kind of programs. Whatever, I had a few doctors who said, "Oh, the costing is very high, and we are not able to afford this." And see, I think for these kind of information, these are invaluable. I think it is not. You cannot put any value to what we will be delivering, and I think from every doctor should be attending. And if you have good friends who would like to be participants of this program, please do encourage them to join this program. I think in terms of, it's not that we are going to make earn more money, but I feel really that doctors should be having this understanding of all these things, and whoever attends these sessions definitely are going to do better in the coming months. So basically, I feel every ophthalmologist in India should who runs this eye hospital should be having this knowledge of all these things, because we make so many mistakes. For example, if you don't do a background check of a staff, I personally had an experience where I think all these 20, 25 hospitals which are attending, definitely there is some staff who has done a theft, or there is a pilferage and all these things. If you had done a background check, maybe he would have done the same thing in the previous organization also. But we generally don't go for a background check. We don't call the doctor who was recruiting, having him previously. All those things are very small points, but which will save a lot of heartburn later on. So I'm sure Dr. Prashant Chauhan will also be sharing some of the templates which we have to implement in this 1 month. If you follow properly, right from that organogram to the ID and even uniform, there is a simple thing, like many times we go select the uniform which cannot be replicated. If you want to buy after 6 months, it's not available in the shop. So you have to select something which is available all through, because you cannot keep changing your uniform once in 6 months or 1 year. I see many hospitals allow one set of uniform this year, then the next year the whole color changes. And if you have an organizational color, say you have pink or you have green as your branding color, I think the uniform should also reflect that. And based on the geography of your organization, whether you are in Kashmir or you are in Jammu, maybe you need to have more warmer clothes. Maybe in Chennai it's different. So all those things should be carefully considered before you actually implement the uniform. And whether even after you implement the uniform, whether it's being properly maintained, because many times you give the uniform but staff don't. Many hospitals, the uniform is torn. Many of the hospitals where the uniform is not clean, so that also gives a bad impression. It is better not to have a uniform at all in that stage. So all these things, I think, right from the employee ID to the uniform to the leave. So this itself is a huge chapter. I think huge exercise. It's not cannot be completed in 1 month or one few months also. But if we start implementing step by step, definitely it's going to help the organization to improve. And we would be very happy if after this, if you can post that, okay, I have done this, I've added, this is my ID. So that motivates the other 25 hospitals to also implement the ID. Maybe few of us don't have biometry. So maybe if all the 25 can implement a biometry, it's going to cost little bit of money. But I feel all these are investments which are going to corporatize your hospital. All these are things. So which, if you, let's say, imagine yourself running a large kind of a hospital after 10 years, where there are hundreds of employees. So if you implement these small things right from day one, transformation into that corporate hospital will be very easier for all of us. So please do post the things that we have implemented. Let's say like the biometry, the ID card, the uniforms, maybe the staff policies, and whatever templates Prashant will also be sharing. If you can start implementing them, definitely. Let us not see, this is just a start. So we are all excited today, but things interest starts waning because inspiration also doesn't stay for a long time unless we keep acting on it. So inspiration should transform into action. So basically, we get inspired that, oh, all these things I will do in my hospital tomorrow, but maybe by the end of the month we are not implemented. So at least 10 things. I think takeaway should be at least 10 things from today's presentation. If we are able to implement things which are not available in our hospital towards the end of the month, it will be interesting and it will be the more success of the program. We'll be posting some of the templates, we'll be posting some of the action items which should be done. And if you can also send us who is the person in your hospital, it's either you or your manager who has to be followed up to see to that this thing is implemented. We will also have one of our staff to call them and then see to that this is implemented. So that is one support which we are planning to provide, because we, as I said in the beginning, we don't want it to be theoretical. We want it to be action oriented. And people who have not joined this program, or even your patients, should start appreciating the changes which you are going to do right from this. And then as you see the improvement, you will also understand that, okay, these are the good things which are happening, and that automatically transforms into your revenue. So as we said, we are having this program of 100 crores by 100 clinic. I think it's not really difficult to achieve that. It's not that difficult to achieve when we follow this good processes and systems, which I learned a lot, though I have been running organizations, but since today I learned a lot from Prashant. I'm sure all of us have learned many things, but learning should be getting into the action also. I think that is the thing.
So we can ask the questions. I think we already have two raised hands.
Yeah.
Dr. Amit and Dr.
Yes,
Vineet,
sir.
if you can please
Yeah,
go ahead one by one.
ask a question
Yeah.
if you also, because we want to create this community of 20-25 hospitals. Please introduce yourself and your hospital so we get to know each other better. Yeah.
Right, sir. Can I start, sir?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
Dr.
Yeah.
Amit, please go ahead.
So this is Dr. Amit Solanki, and I have more than 10 years of experience working in the corporate. Glad to see you after a long time, Dr. Prasad, sir. And I must say it was a wonderful start of this 1 year practice development program. It was better than expectations, because already most of the things like we already practice in the corporate hospital. Like I worked in the Vasan, Agarwal's, and the Center for Sight as well. So I thought that, okay, it must be the same and all these things, but it was better than expectations. So congratulations to Senthil sir and Dr. Prasad. It was really a wonderful insights on the manpower managements and all these things. Sir, only
Thank you.
two quick questions. Number one, like as Senthil sir said that do not frequently change your uniform color. So like I just started my hospital 1.5 year ago, and from the day one only, we have most of the things like we are implementing, and we are already NABH accredited hospital. So we have a documentation part also is very clear. So So I was just about to, change the uniform, the sari and the for the males also. So how frequently I should change? I should like continue for another 5 years or then only change, or every 2 years I need to change? This is the one question. And second is like, sir, from my previous organizations, many people are like approaching me to join all these things, but they are requesting one small thing. Sir, currently we are working in a corporate and we are getting a very high salary, but we want to be associated with you. So it's okay if you give us a 40,000, 50,000 salary, but you please give in our account as a 10,000 extra, 60,000 or 70,000, which we will withdraw from ATN and we'll give it back to you on a cash. So practically you are giving us 50,000 only, but on paper our salary is 60,000. So should I encourage that or not?
Okay, so I'll answer both the questions on the uniform. See, the thing is that if your uniform, the color, the scheme, and everything is something which is, a long-lasting thing, you may continue. I've seen many organizations where the uniform has remained the same for even 10 years. Only thing is when it gets faded, they give them the new uniform. But I'm thinking from a design point of view, it's not necessary that you need to change. But sometimes what happens, an organization may feel after 4 or 5 years, a little bit of, we got bored or monotony is there, you can then change. But please ensure that the vendors that you take uniform, especially like sarees and all, you can get replacements. Otherwise, what will happen is suddenly they say that that pattern is gone out of stock. Now we can't get, then you're stuck. So there are many
Right.
uniform vendors in Gujarat, in Surat and all, who do sarees and all. So you can engage with them where they at least have a guarantee that for the next few years you will get the stock available. So changing the pattern and all is something you may do 4 or 5 years once in a while, but
Okay.
otherwise you may stick with the uniform. That's
Not
not a
every
problem.
year, na? Not every
You
year.
don't need to, but
Okay.
and when a particular staff's uniform has gotten worn out or has gotten to a position where they need to replace it, that you can, but changing pattern can happen once in a while. Second, I will not recommend the thing which you talked about it, that pay extra and give cash back. These kind of things are not something, one has to have a very transparent and a high integrity system with everything respect to, especially finances, whether it is finances with respect to payments or even with our policies. So I would not be recommending that. So something that you should probably stay away from.
That is only one temptation, because like I am looking for a one good TPA persons. Like we have a tie-up with the insurance companies also. So
But
getting the
But
proper TPA
Amit,
person is difficult.
this
Yeah.
one-off thing doesn't remain a one-off. It
Right.
becomes, part and parcel of a system, and then that is something that you would find
Okay.
it as a curse. So stay away from it. The temptation may
Okay.
be very high, but stay away from it.
Right, sir. Thank you so much.
Dr. Vineet, welcome. Dr. Vineet, please go ahead.
Sir, how many times in a year or when should we give the staff uniform? Because like we have given it now, so we should every year we should give them the uniform, or every 6 months, every 2 years, two sets of uniform.
See, so usually what happens is that if you have given a uniform of reasonable quality, because they'll be constantly washing it. I'm sure that they're going to be using two sets of uniform. They mostly last for at least a year. After a year, you'll find yourself that the uniform has gotten faded, has gotten worn off, and that probably is the time, because you don't want a worn off, faded appeal when the patients are seeing your stuff, and probably that's the time you need to kind of replace. So it usually will last at least for a year.
And sir, a lot of the things that you have said today, we don't have the charts or papers or how to grade them, KRA, KPIs.
We
We
will
don't have
share. We
the
will share.
performance
We
for
will
that.
share templates. We will share templates. What you can do is say, there was one question where somebody was asking, I think Dr. Naveen was asking about, say, policies regarding salary hike, and also there is a systematic way of doing, and why you need these KRAs and KPIs is because when you are doing the salary hikes, sometimes what you do is you, based on, oh, I like that person, I'll give him a 10%. I don't like that person, I'll give him a 5%. That's not the way you do it. You do it scientifically on the basis of an appraisal form, which is filled by the employee, then signed by a supervisor, then comes to you. And then you see whether, based on what the KRA and KPI of the person was, how much did they deliver on that. So I think that is extremely important, that these forms are not just kept like for NABH purpose, they're actually used. And you are giving a proper appraisal, which is worth on the person's delivery, not just because he's there for 10 years, I'll give him a good appraisal. He's just a new person, or I don't know him, I'll not give him a good appraisal. So you should follow it based on these templates only. And we'll help
And
you
sir,
kind of formulate this thing for your system.
Mitesh Shah,
sir, one question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in the market, how can we get to know what the competitors are doing? Who is the correct person to ask, or who are the group of people we should ask that what is happening in the market? Like there are
What?
13
Nee,
hospitals
but
in my
what in the
city.
market? No. What in the market you want to know in terms of their policies? You're saying their
Yes,
competitor
yes, yes,
policies. So,
yes,
marketing people, and I've always seen that, marketing people who move around in the market, they are a good source of gathering information. Also, I will say that, people have worked in previous organizations. Some of your staff may have worked or come from, competitor organizations, so they will know policies. So from the network of your current staff, your ex-staff, your marketing staff, there are plenty of ways and means that you can find out what the policies of the competition is. You would use those policies to see where you are standing, and based on then you may make certain changes to ensure that you are at par with the competition, or why not actually above the competition. Always you should stand beyond the competition, not just equal to them.
okay. My name is Dr. Vineet Shah. I'm working at Urmila Hospital, Vapi, and I've been practicing since last 5 years. And in my family, we are a group of 3 ophthalmologists: my mother, me, and my wife. We have 2 centers. One center is running since 35 years, and one center is new, which is open just 2.5 years back.
Okay. Great.
Dr.
Wonderful. Dr. Parag.
Smitesh and Dr. Parag.
Dr. Smith. And then
Hello,
we have, I
sir.
think, Dr. Kal. Yeah, Dr. Parag.
Thank you very much, first of all, for starting such a initiative. So, from my personal experience, I don't have any experience of working in corporate, so I don't have the exposure to how a corporate chain works. And I directly started my center 1 year back after finishing my senior residency from RP Center. And many times, what I face difficulty is I am whether I want to or not, but I am in a position I am expected to make decisions which I have no knowledge about. So many times there is no clarity within my own head what I am trying to communicate to the staff, and there is a difficulty in uh, within my own self. I am not very clear whether this direction should be the right way to go or the other direction should be the right way to go. Even I think the KPIs and KRAs point that you were making, sir, I think that also will help me a lot. I don't know how it will go in future, but I am very hopeful.
No, I think as you attend this starts giving you clarity. So basically, a lot of us have these confusions, but once we understand what other person is doing and then what the corporate is doing, and as you slowly attend it, it will give the clarity. Because see, for example, that organogram, only when you have that, you will know that okay, we need more people under us. So
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
those
sir.
kind of things slowly as we progress gives us the clarity. I think
And
Dr.
is there some study material, something which will help us gain more
So
clarity on how
we
to
will be giving,
communicate?
so Dr. Parag, I think what will be happening is across every month that we are doing, there will be a lot of guidance material which will come your way. So today what you got was like a teaser, I will say, of
Okay.
the things that because you can't cover everything in 4 hours.
Yes,
If I
sir.
try to do people management, it will take a very long period. But at least we covered the basic snippets. We are open to obviously group discussions, and you can share on the groups your questions and all, but we will share some material on the group which will give you the hand holding that you need to implement things even without having exposed yourself to corporate healthcare where you must have seen these things. So I think you have joined the right forum. I think over the next 1 year, trust me, this is just the beginning. At the end of 1 year, you would have seen that you will be in a much better position to run your practices than what you were on, say, today, 5th of January.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
You
Dr.
can
Smitesh.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Prashant.
Good
And
evening,
nice to
sir.
meet you in the general forum. So Dr. Prashant work as an advisor consultant to us, and we are thankful to Ophthall for that. Uh, and one thing I wanted to ask, how to motivate the staff to change and to grow, because many of the old staff, they are not ready to do that, and they feel that their position is secured, and they need even if you give them only 8% hike in the salary, they are happy with it. 8 or 10% hike in the salary. So how to do that, and how to make that change? And if they are not doing that, then it's very difficult to remove them also, because they have worked with you for so many years. So how to overcome?
Sir, a very good question, sir. Because I think that is something which every organization faces. That you typically have every organization 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work, and 80% of the people are doing 20% of the work. They are those 20% real ownership people, but then you have these 80%, and the job of leaders and us as managers is to motivate the other 80%. Now, the thing is, sometimes I always feel that people sometimes want to also move from one field to other within the eye care fraternity also, and probably they are now becoming the stagnated in that particular role, maybe as a front office. So one thing I've always seen is create champions. Try to get somebody who has the spark by saying, okay, you are a good front office, but you may become a wonderful counselor, or you are a good OPD attendant, but maybe you get training and you can become an optometrist, or you could become do a training and become maybe work in the OT after doing a 1 year course. Take a break. We'll fund you. We'll help you. Come back and join us. I think that will create the spark of some people who probably are very laid back, have now gotten very monotonous in their work and are not showing any inspiration or spark. That will change, and that will also motivate others. I have seen that it becomes a chain reaction, because everybody says, oh, I want to do this. I want to probably also change because I've felt that. That's one way. Second is, if somebody is stagnating totally, an appraisal is not a birthright. So sometimes what we have seen is that if somebody is become absolutely redundant in the system, and I've seen that what works is to give them a jolt by saying, this year there is no appraisal. So I'm not throwing you out, but I'm not going to give you an appraisal because you have not done anything worthy of deserving an appraisal. And I've seen many people wake up from their slumber, from their sleep, and suddenly they say, okay, now I have to, perform, because I'm not going to get appraisal next year also. So, you can do these things where the appraisal, like Dr. Naveen has asked a question that, how frequently. So the appraisals are done once a year. They typically follow a cycle, April to March, the financial year. Percentage, how much you give. By the way, you will, as a company, decide for that year how much percentage you want to give to the entire group, and then you will give an appraisal. It can range from 0%, by the way, to the non-performers, and it can be even 20% for a performer. So you also create these differences in appraisal where you say, I'm giving 0% to you also, but I'm giving 20% to somebody who's really deserving, so that these people who are not performing well will get the motivation. Sometimes money works as a motivation. Sometimes you will reward people by like employee of the month, or you will teach and train. I think there's an example that, somebody is good in analytics, you're giving them a course and they will, appreciate that. And so it is not just money. Creating an environment of engagement, creating an environment of a growth path that you are creating for them, even maybe outside their department, is what will bring out the best in people. And if you have tried everything and nothing is working, and that person is just creating a negative influence, I think then it's time to say goodbye. And I think one of the things I've seen in standalone hospitals particularly is they find it very difficult to let go of people. And my suggestion to all of you is that if you have a liability in the organization, please do not carry with you for too long. It creates a very negative impact in your organization. And maybe it's time at some point of time to say either, and my one line which I always use is perform or perish. So that's very simple. Today in this day and age, either you have to be a performer, or if you're constantly not a performer and we have helped you in every which way, I think probably it's time for you to move on. And I think sometimes those hard calls, if you do, what you will be able to achieve is that you will be able to make others who are wanting to go in that zone stay away, because they know that they may pay the same price. I think sometimes these examples need to be created, and you should use monetary, non-monetary ways and means of engaging and motivating people to ensure that everybody remains committed, because you are the owner of the organization. Your ownership and commitment will always be higher than everybody else. But how do you make others also incentives? You have to create a model where if I'm doing well, you're not just being paid just salary. I'm going to incentivize you because I'm growing. I'm wanting to share some of the kitty with you. So I think those are the ways and means where you can, motivate people to kind of move out of their comfort zone at times, and also inspire others to do the same.
So we want to thank you, Dr. Senthil and Dr. Prashant, for this. Our organization was growing at 10 to 15% before we joined the Ophthall and Dr. Prashant, and now it's going at 20-25%. I'm very thankful to both of you.
Very kind of you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kalyan.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Kalyan Thote from Nashik, Maharashtra. I am in my 20th year of practice. Me and my spouse both are ophthalmologists, and we run a specialty clinic, general and a specialty clinic. So the question I have is, what is an optimum kind of staffing pattern for a single or a couple ophthalmologist standalone practices? Because many a times we have overhired and found that only those people, like you said, 20% people do the 80% job, and rest 80% contribute only 20%. So whenever we have hired, considering that we are lacking people and we need more, ultimately those who are working only, they kept on working, and remaining just did not. Maybe that was the question. And second thing is, if you reduce the number of people, again they are overburdened. So what could be, a basic hierarchy kind of a structure for smaller practices? Thank you.
Very relevant question, Dr. Kalyan. I think it's a very important factor. How do we choose the right set of number of people that we need for an organization? And
Yes,
that
sir.
is actually dependent on your patient volumes. Typically in an eye hospital, we always say a doctor should typically not see more than 30 to 35 patients a day, typically. If you want the doctor to give quality time and also go on the OT, you should not have a doctor see 50, 60 patients. That is the thing I say, that you will not be doing justice with the patient. So what you typically do is that if you have an OPD of 100, you typically should have at least about 2 to 3 doctors taking care of that. This mix of optometrists is usually equal to the doctor or either +1, because what happens is the choking at the patient journey happens at the optometrist when the workup is getting delayed, because they are also busy in investigations, they may be assisting in OT, so you need to have the optometrist again linked to the patient load. Now, front office, you would probably in a low volume OPD of 20, 30, you can have only one and manage that. But then you have leave covers and all. You have multitasking people. Otherwise, what will happen is front office is on leave, then who's going to handle the front office, So you need to have front office and billing. You need to have at least one counselor. I think many of these small hospitals do not have counselors. And trust me, I say this at every forum. After the doctor, the most important person for an eye care practice is the counselor. Mark my words. The second most important after a doctor is a counselor. So if you don't have a concept of a counselor, please have a counselor and you will see the business transform. So again, a counselor can do about 10, 12 counselings in a day. So if you have beyond that, you will add another counselor. In the OT, you will keep at least one, OT technician. You'll have a nurse there. You will have a pharmacist. You will have people in the opticals. You will have OPD attendants equal to the number of doctors so that they can assist the, you will have a manager who will take care of, everything. Marketing. I think many of these small hospitals who want to grow, they want to grow, but they don't invest in marketing. So depending on the size of the town, city that you're in at, you will need at least between 1 to 3 people in marketing that will be doing the job for you. So keep people in marketing, keep your counselors, front office, billing, OT, nurse, doctors, optometrists. And I think as your numbers grow, then you keep adding. So if your OPD has crossed another 30, you will add, a doctor or an optometrist and all. And always be mindful, you need to keep leave cover. You have people who are going on leave, and by the way, you also have shifts. Sometimes hospitals are running from 9 in the morning till 9 in the night. Now, you can't make everybody do overtime every day for the entire month. That's not possible. Overtime can be done once in a while, not on a very long-term basis. So what you need to do
We
is
actually running 2 shifts, right?
So you need to keep staff accordingly. So that you will have a
Yeah.
staff which will come at 9 o'clock shift and go at 6. Then you'll have probably another staff come at 10 o'clock, maybe at 11 o'clock and go at 8 o'clock. So keep as per these shifts, keep as per your leave cover. The most important determinant in the staffing is your volume. As the OPD and surgical volume goes up, you will keep adding staff into your system. So that's how you typically will run the show. And by the way, if you have staff which is the incompetent types or the ones who are, not delivering, you obviously can impact them in their appraisals. You need not give them an appraisal. At some point of time, some people are okay without appraisal also, by the way. They're okay getting the salary. Then at some point of time, you have to replace. Please take that hard call that this person is coming in the way of efficiency of the system and is also motivating others to do the same thing. I will replace him. That's a difficult call to take, but I think at some point of time, to protect your practice, you need to do that also.
Actually,
Sir, it was a very excellent session. I would just request that all these, appraisal evaluation kind of templates we wish to have, so that then we'll have something structured that based on what we do the appraisal. Second thing is, uh, asking people to do multitasking, is it a good idea, or it should be dedicated people only for OPD? OT it is fine, but OPD or people who, when we are in OT and morning time where OPD starts late, so do we ask the people who are not doing anything in OPD or reception to help in supporting OT? Is it a good idea, or it should be a very clear cut?
So typically you will have demarcation between OPD and IPD, but I've seen plenty of hospitals, even corporate, where people in the OT can pitch in into the OPD in
Yes.
peak hours when there is a rush or there is a crisis. But yes, you have specialists like you have in, in your doctors, you also have specialists doing the work. But yes, some bit of multitasking helps, especially in terms of crisis when you have suddenly three people falling sick. If nobody knew anybody else's job, you were in a soup, because then you will have that system crashing. So you should at least have some backups where your other staff are at least aware of the basic functioning which they can perform. But that is more in terms of crisis, more in terms of peak loads. But otherwise, you have specialists doing their job and hire them. They will not make mistakes. They'll be better. They'll be more effective. And rather than having one person doing five things, you should probably be focusing on especially key areas like, counseling is one key area, optometry is obviously another key area, your OPD and billing front office is another key area. These you should definitely have dedicated people working.
And one last question about the counselor. Should there be an incentive structure to the counselor other than salary based on number of counselings or type of packages they convince for, or how it should be?
So incentive system, by the way, there are various models of incentives. There is one model of incentive which you say applies to the entire staff. You have a target system of revenue and then you share the incentive with everybody. That's one model. Second is where the counselors are separate from that and they have a separate model where it's based on the surgical performance in terms of either the conversion in the number of surgery which are happening or even by premium upselling. If you are converting to higher end surgeries, you get a incentive which is higher than normal. So there are incentive models which are dedicatedly working only for counselors, and there's an incentive model where you are sharing if you are performing well with everybody. So yes, incentive does work. It's an established fact.
Yeah. Do give us those templates also. We might adapt whatever suits us.
yes.
Sure, we'll do that.
Thank you so very much, and thank you once again. It was excellent session. Thank you so much. We got a lot of value, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Prashant,
Dr. Ashwini,
Dr. Senthil, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ashwini, you have a question.
The last question from Dr. Ashwini, and then remaining we can still keep interacting. It's almost
we have that group active for the next 1 year. So
cannot teach everything in one day. So we need to have actually a lot more. We have another 364 days more. So
yes. Dr. Ashwini, you are the last question of the day.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I have started my practice 2 years before in a small setup, in a small area like 1900 square feet, 1800 square feet. And my OPD flow is today monthly around 300 monthly. And marketing I have not done because I have not been guided or I don't know, I didn't find good people or not, or everything is word of mouth and whatever it comes. Till now, I have no marketing people. For this OPD, from the day I have one pharmacist, two nursing staff, one manager, and one optometrist, and one receptionist. Only these 6 people. Apart from the one sweeper is there. These 6 people. So many people are doing multiple works. Like 2 people are doing OT and can go to manage that. So what will be the my go ahead? The way I said, I have started few things that you told. I have noted few things that I will implement. That today only I said there will be a biometric. I will install it tomorrow only because I have already planned. There are dress codes or appraisals. So what will the go ahead? And sometimes what I feel, one person who's receptionist doing uh, uh, like my insurance works and other data monitoring. If she leaves, there is nobody to take care of that. Should I hire somebody to take care of that at this point of time or not? How to manage that fear part of somebody leaving? because I feel that they will not leave because I am giving good incentive. But as Dr. Senthil sir said, don't have a blind faith on anybody except yourself, because if you give more trust, they might at time you feel disheartened. So how to manage that part? I feel sometimes if I have already trusted, okay, these people are going to stay for me for 10 years. After 2 year, 1 year, they leave. How to manage that part and how to acquire for this now 300 OPD? So I don't know how it will grow. So how to manage that part, that I want to know.
So, okay.
Before
So for the
Dr.
growth,
Sir,
there is a separate, module which is on marketing, and there's another module on digital marketing. So I think you will learn a lot in those modules where how to grow your practice. Second, when it comes to staffing, yes, you will have sometimes staff leave you. It's an eventuality. Be mentally prepared. The only thing is that there are two ways. There's an immediate crisis when they leave, and then there is obviously a replacement. So we have talked about how do you get people. The immediate crisis, you should always in key departments at least have somebody shadow and at least be able to do basic work, so that if the person suppose sometimes leaves without a notice period, you at least can have your basic work continue for a period till you get the new stuff. Critical areas like especially like TPA and all, you should have backups ready. You should not be putting all your eggs in one basket, as we call that. You should have in those key areas people, having backups to know those things which they can do. So I think that is something which will help you. While for growth, as we said, that you will be able to. I'll just cover a couple of questions that are central from the chat, I think, before we end.
yes, sir.
Dr. Amit had a question about that if the staff bring, and this is a very important question because this has been raised in the past to me, is if the staff bring any referral patient, should we give a referral amount? Please don't do that. It is a very difficult business to track, because this can become kind of a nefarious relationship with the front office and all, that I will send this patient, you will tell it is mine, and then I'll share the referral with you. Referrals is only for referral clients like doctors and opticals and all. Please do not keep any referral for when it comes from staff. That can be given as a record. You can maintain. You can appreciate them in the monthly town hall meetings. You can value them in the appraisals. You can appreciate them in, but don't monetarily link it with referral amount. That is something I wanted to share. One question was about the LASIK discount for employees. I think that is one, we should only charge for the consumables. Everything else should be free. Employees should not be paying anything beyond what is costing you. So if as a hospital, if it is costing you 20,000 rupees to do that LASIK surgery, that's the only amount that you will take from the staff and nothing else. That is one thing which I wanted to cover. And yeah, I think just wanted to cover these 2, 3 points which came up in the chat. And I think thank you, with all the participation. And I think it gives us the encouragement that, we have an exciting and interesting 1 year, and we will also ensure that we match up to what we have been able to do today across these sessions, and fulfill the expectations that you now have from us, especially with respect to, I can see one thing, Dr. Senthil, there's a lot of material that we'll have to share, which anyway we were prepared for, which we will do, because I think that is what you will be using in your practice to make things better. So please expect a lot of material, especially in people management in this month, and subsequently in other modules, we will be doing that on the group. And as Dr. Senthil said, I would want to, reiterate, please implement these things. We will, by the way, have a dashboard tracker of what all everybody has implemented, so that you'll be able to even see yourself where do you stand compared to all the practices. And I'm sure that there should be hospitals which have implemented everything. That will be the best testament that can be there from such a session where you have taken up all the things and implemented. And trust me on this, these are all tried and tested things, and these things will only help making your practice better. So we will not tell you anything which is unnecessary, and we look forward to a very engaging 1 year, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up things. We'll make it worth the while, is what we can promise you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Amazing energy. I think you should have been tired now. It's almost 3 years. And as Dr. Smithesha said, because I remember Smithesha used to attend all our Ophthall conferences right from the beginning. So every year he used to attend, take that effort to come. Whatever webinars we conduct, he used to attend. So I think that because I asked Dr. Smitesh once, like, why are you coming for all the conferences? He said one simple thing. He said, sir, I'm picking something new from every conference. Maybe some things are same, but I'm picking up something new. I think that dedication has left him to the growth he has reached as of now. So I think all of us also should be willing to have that open-mindedness and not share things with each other, and that will definitely help. Very interesting. I think this has become better than what I imagined. Hopefully, this set up the bar very high. So now I don't know whether we will be able to continue on the same speed, but hopefully we will try. As we do, whatever we do, we try to do our best, and definitely it will help our fraternity. And if you have any of your friends who would like, who you really want to help, please do. We can accommodate another 20 to 25 hospitals in this session. So if you feel some of your friends can also attend, just share this to them. And basically it is helping each other. So when we help our friend, I think he will also get benefited out of this. And we will be sharing more information on the WhatsApp groups, and please do depute one person. It's either you, or whether you will go have some manager who will have to be followed up, and we will depute one person and introduce that person also to you. So she will be, once the templates are shared, then the implementation, maybe we will not track every template, maybe 8 or 10 which can be implemented by the end. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for everybody, and have a nice weekend. And thanks for spending the Sunday thinking about your practice. This is really working on your business, because from Monday to Saturday, you are going to work in the business, like you are going to see patients, do surgeries. But what is more important is also working on the business, which you are doing. And thank you all for taking this initiative, and looking forward to interacting with you more. Our next session is on January 19th. Before that, we would have implemented a lot of things. Please do start posting pictures, like if you implement biometry, so that will motivate others. If you implement ID cards, if your staff are getting this thing, all those things, I will open up the group for you. And if you have any negative feedbacks, if you want us to improve, please do send it to us personally. That is not a problem. So basically all those things we are ready to, we are also learning. So we are also ready to implement the things as per your requirements. And thank you all, and Happy New Year, and looking forward to interacting more on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and good evening.
Thank you, sir. I will also upload this online. So send you the link in 1 or 2 days for this. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks. Please do post your feedbacks also.